end of time.
O'clock.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Wednesday, and here we are, once again, talking to you guys.
Yep, this is going to be a pretty good show, evidently. I don't know much about it. Jen did all the research, but it's about this pretty famous haunted house experience where there's a bunch of LARPing and you had to sign a bunch of waivers to get into it. So we're going to find out more about it. Evidently, like, some fucked up shit happened in there, but we'll see. It's alleged. It's allegedly.
Yeah, it's this was quite a rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say.
On McKamey Manor.
I can't remember which one of you guys, because I know one of you guys like recommended it a while back, and it finally won. I remember first hearing about this place on this documentary called Haunters: The Art of the Scare. That I watched. It came out in 2017, so I probably saw it like in 2018. I think it was on Shudder. I don't know if it still is, but they focused a lot on this back then. Although this was kind of, I think in that documentary, it hadn't really gone to the extremes that it went to later, if I'm not mistaken. They also talked about it on the Netflix show Dark Tourist in 2018, this place. Now, as far as I know, and please correct me if you know something different, I do not think McKamey Manor is in operation anymore. I just looked at their YouTube channel, and the last videos are from 7 years ago. And a podcast that I was listening to about it said that allegedly the guy that runs it, Russ McKamey, was like had a regular job now. So I'm not really sure if he's doing it anymore. Now, I'm going to say, like, everything in this is allegedly. I don't know the dude. I've never been in this place. I don't know what's going on. So it's just kind of like, don't come at me. Don't do anything like that. Because I know that this dude... No, I'm just saying, this dude is a very controversial figure. Mm-hmm. Even in the haunt community, like, they don't even like McKamey Manor being called a haunted house, because they're like, it's not a haunted house. It's basically you're having people go in there and willingly get tortured.
Okay.
So they're like, and that's not really what we're trying to do.
I think I vaguely remember something.
I mean, it's pretty notorious. If you know anything about haunts or about anything like that, this is probably the most infamous one. It's not the only extreme haunt out there. There's a lot of them. I think probably the most famous one other than this one is Blackout, which I think is still in operation as far as I'm aware. And the two guys that run that seem a lot cooler, and they don't do the shit. They do some fucked up shit, but they're more concentrating on like psychological stuff rather than this, which, like I said, seems to be from, purportedly from people coming out of there and complaining about it, that all kind of messed up stuff happens in there. And I do have a copy of the famous waiver, which we'll read some of that fun stuff out of there too, because it leaked. It was supposedly supposed to be secret. I don't know who leaked it, or if it was leaked on purpose. I don't really know. But, and I also don't know if of all of the crazy shit that's listed in the waiver that you have to sign away saying, hey, this might happen to you, I don't know how much of that shit would actually happen to you, or they're just putting it in there to, like, scare people. I don't really know. But, yeah, this is, like I said, this is a very, very interesting rabbit hole to go down. And like I said, this dude is a very, very controversial figure. And he does kind of have that, I don't know about now, because I don't think it's in operating anymore. But they did have a big Facebook group, and there were a lot of people on there that were like really, really, idolized the dude. And like, if anybody criticized him anywhere, they would just go and completely like fuck up your shit, like on social media and everything. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, I don't know the dude. So I'm just gonna like tell you guys like what I learned about it. You know what I mean? That's all we're going to talk about. So do you have anything that you would like to address, like, before we get into this?
No, I thought I left the television on in there. I thought I left the television on.
Oh, I would have heard it.
Yeah, I walked in there. I thought I heard it, and I got into the door, and there was nothing on. I thought I heard it though.
No, I would have told you
Weird,
because
okay.
I can hear it like
All
all the way down the hall, so I would have been able to hear
right.
it.
But speed is good because look, it's not.
Oh. Did we lose you guys?
I don't know.
Hello?
I'll reset mine.
Oh shit. See what happens? You start talking about this and you get and you get cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Are we still on? I don't know. They took
Yeah,
my
it looks like.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody.
All right. Yeah, okay. So
Right.
it's just you then.
Yeah, okay.
It's just you.
I thought we usually normally got a green line. A buffalo line.
You know what? Ever since they updated, I don't know why they did this, but it's like
Yeah.
there used to be like a little green box at the bottom of
Yeah.
OBS that told you that your shit was fine, and then if it started going yellow, then you knew that your shit was about to cut off. But they took that away, like in the new iteration.
It works too well.
I guess. So it's like now you just have to guess whether anything's happening or not. So here's the thing. I was not putting this in the poll, even though somebody asked for it a long time ago, because I was gonna save it for Halloween. But then I was just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. I mean, every day is Halloween, and it seemed like kind of a interesting topic anyway. So I put it in the poll, and like almost everybody voted for it. So I guess nobody else wanted to wait for Halloween either. But yeah, so
Go ahead and get into it then.
all right, yeah, this is a whole thing. So let's talk a little bit about. I mean, anybody's from the United States, and probably they have them in other countries too, but everybody knows what a haunt is, right? It's just kind of like usually around the Halloween season, but some of them are open all year round. And basically you go and it's like a maze, but it's like a simulated horror movie kind of. Like you go in there, you get chased by somebody like looks like Leatherface and shit like that. And most of the time like the ones they have at Universal Studios and stuff like that, technically they're not really supposed to touch you or anything like that. They're supposed to just like chase you and like freak you out. They can get right up on you and everything like that, but they're not really supposed to obviously touch you or anything like that.
You said and like that about 6 times in a row, John.
Well, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Now you just like, why do you always do that? You always like throw me off of whatever I was talking about.
Just
okay, so where was I? I don't even remember. Okay. So, so there's a lot of these. And they're all over the country, usually, like I said, around Halloween time, but some of them all year round. Now, here comes this dude, Russ McKamey, who is the founder, obviously, of McKamey Manor. And he was a Navy veteran. I guess in high school, he majored in theater studies, so he was real into theater, which, kind of plays into this later on. But he went into the Navy after high school, and he was apparently in the Navy for 23 years. And one of the things that he was always interested in... What are you doing?
it's getting hot. I was trying to turn the fan on.
Well, no, you can't do it like that.
It's the center one, right?
I don't know. Well, no, you have to turn the thing on and then turn the light off.
Yeah. Oh, did it?
Yeah.
So it's gonna do it again?
Yeah, probably.
No, I turned it off.
Okay, I don't know what you're doing. I swear. It's just one big distraction. Okay.
No, it's not a big distraction.
Yeah, it is.
It's getting hot, man.
I'm not
There it
hot.
goes,
I'm
there it
always
goes, there it
cold
goes.
in here. I'm always cold in here.
I'm a man. Gonna get hot.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. There, he's running now. Take care of it.
Chasing and no touching. That's not paranormal. It's just Saturday night at the bar. Right. Yeah, that's the thing. And, they're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be scary, everything like that. This one, not so much. But like I said, it didn't start out like that. So he was in the Navy for a long time, interested in theater. And he was really into haunts. And he was really interested in them, especially what they call home haunts, which, obviously, like it sounds, is at Halloween, somebody would deck their house all out, and then they'd, the neighborhood kids or the neighborhood's people would come and like go through the house, and it was scary and it was fun and everything like that. And some of them would charge money and some of them not. They just did it for fun. So he was interested in that, and he said that even when he was out on naval ships, that he would design haunts for, you know, his fellow Navy people, right? So he decides when he gets home to start his own home haunt. Now, this was about in 2001, I believe, when he started his first one. And he started it just in his house, or on his property, which was in San Diego. Now, from everything that I could determine, because it does seem like a lot of articles that are written about this they're like, oh, it got a reputation right away for being super extreme. That's not the impression that I got. The impression that I got was that the home haunt that he started was pretty much your standard home haunt, or in the haunt community, what they would call a boo haunt, which is not really all that scary. I mean, it's basically you're just going through someone's house and they have, you know, those animatronic things like you get at Home Depot or whatever, and it's like that, you know, or they have some actors or something dressed up like Jason or what have you that chase you around with a rubber machete. It's that kind of stuff, and it's the kind of thing where you could take your kids through it, or you could take maybe older kids through it. I wouldn't take like babies and shit like that through there, but you know what I mean. So he did that for a while, and I guess it was kind of popular, but he said that he kept getting people saying, well, this is good, it's cool, but it needs to be scarier. You know what I mean?
If Grampers is in there, man, I went to one in Trenton when we were in high school. He remembers it. Like Jason took me to one, scared the shit out of me so bad one time that I was going, no, I'm not going. And they wouldn't turn the lights on. They didn't spring it on me. And I ran to the next room. I could see something in the darkness. I couldn't see what it was. They were going to turn the lights on, jump out at me. I started freaking out so bad.
Yeah.
I grabbed Jason by his fucking belt buckle and pulled him down, threw him over my fucking shoulder. I threw him into there, in that room. And they were going to ambush me, man, but they didn't. They let me pass. They got me later. But it was something. I couldn't tell what it was in there. It was a big open room, and there was something in the corner. I think somebody with a blade. Chainsaw or something.
Yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
standard
it was
for that
freaking
kind of
me
stuff.
the fuck out.
That's kind
I
of
thought I was on acid. I wasn't though.
Not that time.
I was just in high school. And that's the first time I ever seen any shit like that. And fuck, I did not want to go in that damn room. He was pushing me. Jason was pushing me, and I was like, no, I ain't going. Yeah, I remember that shit.
I like that you admitted being scared of those.
Oh fuck, man.
Well, they're not. I mean, it's easy to be scared of them because you're just kind of being trundled through this completely black thing that like people are jumping out at you.
Yeah, we were crawling through little fucking tubes and shit.
Right? Yeah. So I get it, but it is kind of fun. But the thing that I never liked about him, was that they all seem to have like the pretty standard scenarios. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like you go in there and it's like, oh no, it's a dude with a chainsaw. Oh no, it's a scary clown. Oh no, it's this. I'm like, I don't know. I know there's only so many things you can do, but I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Clowns aren't really that scary to me, but maybe some people are really scared of clowns. I don't really know. Yeah, Sarah says, this is such a great topic. The guy behind the manor is a real weirdo. Yeah, like I said, I don't know the man. But yeah, there's been some allegations. We'll say that much. So yeah. So he starts out doing this, and he's like, everybody's telling me, oh well, it's cool, but it needs to be scarier. So he decides, I guess, that he is just going to keep getting more and more extreme to a point where I don't think this was the reason that he eventually had to move out of California. I think the reason that he moved from California or fled from California was because he owed like $250,000 in back taxes.
Allegedly.
I don't know. That's what I've heard. Like I said, I don't know the man.
Fucking California tax the shit out of you. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how long he hadn't paid, and I don't because here's the thing, and this has been true of McKamey Manor through its entire run. As I said, I don't think it's operating anymore. It runs as a non-profit, which seems dumb to me because you could charge money for this and probably make a tidy sum, but he has never charged money for it. All he does is you have to go on a waiting list, which we'll discuss whether that's a real thing or not. But we'll just like talk about that later. But what you were supposed to do is that you were supposed to bring like a big bag of dog food, like dry dog food, because he had charities that he would do with like dog rescue and greyhounds and stuff. So that was your price of admission, was like a big bag of dog food, and he never charged money for it. Where he got the money to run it, I'm not entirely certain, and it's not entirely clear. For a long time, because I saw an interview with his ex-partner, they were together a long time, like she worked with him on the haunt for a long time, and she had a fairly decent paying job, and she says that she paid for pretty much everything. Now, he had a pension, right, but I don't know how much it was. And I don't imagine that the stuff, it's not cheap to run a haunt, and he wasn't just running it at Halloween. I think he was at first, but then like later on he was having such a good time, I guess, that he would do it every week. I think so. And like I said, that's not a cheap thing to be doing. He had
staff though, right?
At first, well, yeah.
Because I would think that the staff probably brought their own equipment and their own costumes and all that. They were probably into it too.
Maybe so. Okay. So when he initially first started out with the extreme thing, because, you know, he's like, well, we wanted to make it scarier and scarier. So they started, I guess, looking into ways that they could essentially, like, legally do stuff that other haunts weren't doing, I suppose, because they wanted to stand out. I'm talking, like, and this kind of happened more like later on, but like fear factor kind of shit.
Yeah, make eat bugs and shit.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, which, you know, like I said, I've got the waiver and everything, so we'll talk about all that. But so he wanted to start doing that. Now, initially, as I said, I don't think he was paying anyone because he wasn't making any money on this. He was just doing it because he wanted to, evidently. So at first, he was employing just volunteers, I guess. And a lot of them were teenagers. And his ex-partner, said that, well, you know, that didn't work out so well at first because after a while, like, some of the teenagers that were working for them started getting into trouble, as in one of them, I think, was giving drugs and alcohol to, like, an underage girl. Like, one of them was, you know, sexually harassing or sexually assaulting people that were coming in there. So they were having all kinds of trouble with...
They were grabbing asses and tits.
With stuff like that. So they started having to have, like, and he didn't seem to have any trouble finding people that would do this.
Yeah.
But as I said, I'm not real clear on whether he paid them or not. I'm guessing not.
You can see how that could get out of hand if they signed these waivers.
Yeah, well,
working in there,
exactly.
Some chick, she's got a nice booty. He's probably gonna grab it.
Well,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd probably do the same though if I was, you know, back then in that situation. They signed this waiver and we're gonna play rough, you know. And if that was in the waiver, you know what I mean? Probably how that would go down. Be like going to a fucking fetish club. What do they call it? Consensual, non-consensual fucking fetish.
Right, yeah.
Where you've agreed not to consent.
Yeah.
Or you've consented to not consenting. That's what that sounds like.
Right. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
CB said, I watched a documentary on him and he came across as a pervert. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I think that a lot of people thought, especially as it got more and more quote-unquote extreme later on, that, and because he wasn't making any money off it, despite how notorious it was, a lot of people thought he was just getting his rocks off on it, like it was some kind of weird fetish that he had over making people suffer, allegedly, that he was maybe a psychopath or something. And some of his ex-girlfriends said that too. So I'm not saying that, I'm just saying other people said that. I'm just trying to cover my ass, you know what I mean? So yeah, so here's the thing. So he eventually had to move the haunt to, from California to Tennessee. He moved it to Tennessee for some reason. And that's pretty much where it was for a while. And he put it on his property. I think he had these big, what do they call those? Like shipping container type things? Like he had some of those like on his property and put them in there. Like it's not a mansion. It's not a nothing like that. It's basically just a bunch of shipping container type things where you go in there and get tortured, essentially.
Yeah.
Torture.
Yeah, I'm already seeing what this is. Okay. In a couple other shows we mentioned it in the before. Me and Jen have, been in the goth scene, also having a lot of connections in the fetish scene, and have friends that DJ fucking badass events, and some of them private at mansions. There are people out there that are into consensual non-consent.
Yeah.
Where everyone's vetted who's going to go in there. You know what I mean? They're going to get armbands or wristbands. You know who's going to be in there. But if you go into that party, you've consented to basically be sexually assaulted. That's the kink.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've consented to fucking not have consent. That's why they're there.
Right.
So this is kind of like a haunt version of that.
Yeah.
You consented to fucking be abused in this shit.
Right.
Whether or not you actually understood you consented to that, I don't know.
Well, as we'll see, the waiver is pretty comprehensive.
Is it? Yeah, okay.
And,
Maybe they weren't reading it, they were just signing the waiver.
Well, now I will say that Russ McKamey, and he's trying to legally cover his ass, right? And I watched a couple of YouTube videos of a couple of different lawyers breaking down the legality of this waiver, and most of them saying, some of the stuff is pretty questionable in there, but it's like some of the stuff, this would actually be legal. And I liked the way that one of the comparisons they made, which actually didn't even occur to me, is that if there's something in the waiver that says, you consent that maybe someone will punch you in the face, right? And you sign that. They're like, well, if somebody does indeed punch you in the face while you're in that thing, you can't sue them because you consented to be punched in the face. Yeah. They're like, this is pretty much the same thing as, for example, a boxer.
Boxing, wrestling.
Yeah, anything like that. It's like, you can't sue the other boxer for punching you in the face, you know what I mean? Because that's expected to happen. You consented for that to happen. So they're like, that's pretty much the same thing that's going on here, and that's why they can get away with it. Because a lot of the shit that has happened in here, people have said, well, why isn't he in jail? Like, why hasn't he been sued? Anything like that. And that's why. I mean, his ass is pretty well covered, although I will note that there are videos, because he filmed everything and put all the stuff up on his YouTube channel, and it's still there. Like I said, the last one was 7 years ago, but he put everything up there. Whether it's edited or not, I don't know.
He sounds pretty slick. He got him a creepy porn lawyer to cover his
ass.
Probably, yeah. That's what they did.
But,
porn lawyers who do all the fetish stuff are creepy porn lawyers.
Yeah.
If you sign on that dotted line, this shit's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
They're going to put it on film, too. You can't sue them afterwards.
But the thing about it is that one kind of questionable thing that was in the video, and I'm surprised that he didn't get in trouble for this, was that while the people were signing, before they had signed the waiver, because his big thing was, we have to read the entire waiver out loud. And the one I have is 23 pages, but a lot of things will say it's 40 pages, so it might have been a different version, I don't know. But so he goes through the entire waiver with them, and they read it out loud. So he's making sure that they read it and all the stuff that it says in there. And so that they know that what they're consenting to and what might happen to them.
Yeah, okay.
So that's how he got around that. He made them read it out loud. But the thing about it, I saw a couple of the videos that were on YouTube, and him and his compatriots there were already smacking the people around and abusing them to get them to sign the waiver. And I'm like, okay, well, they haven't consented yet because they haven't signed the waiver. And you've already started abusing them.
Allegedly.
I'm just saying it was in the video. So and it's in a couple of the videos. Because as it went on later on, what they would do is they would give you a pickup point, and then a van would come in. They'd essentially kidnap you. Like, they put a hood over your head and duct tape over your mouth and shit like that, and they'd throw you in the back of a van and take you to the place, and then they would start smacking you around and yelling at you and berating you in your face and everything like that to get you to sign it. So, yeah. So they kind of...
If you're enough to sign it, then there you go. Sign
right.
it.
That's the thing. I know there's a lot of different kinds of people in the world, but...
They probably didn't think there was anything to it. They probably thought it was part of the show. But the person could get sucked into that not knowing that this is a show. Imagine if it was a bunch of wrestlers.
People do all kind of crazy shit.
Bunch of wrestlers. Like a sign on the dotted line and you can wrestle with us. Go ahead, sign. And you sign. You get in that wrestling ring, they'd fuck you up. Kind of like that.
I mean, I can't imagine any situation where I would want to subject myself to this, especially after having seen the videos.
Yeah, I think I'd be running.
I'd be like, no thanks.
Like,
it doesn't really sound like that much fun.
Yeah, I'd be like, nah.
And for a little while, allegedly, if you got through the haunt, you would get $20,000. Whether this $20,000 ever existed or not, no one really knows. Because no one ever finished, and there's a lot of reasons for that too, which we'll get into later.
No one ever finished.
I said, well, okay, if it was a set amount of time, and you'd get $20 million, I might do it for that, depending on what it was.
I could put up with a lot of shit.
I could put up with a lot of shit for 20 million, but 20 grand, I mean, that's a lot of money, but that wouldn't even pay my credit card debt off.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it would have to have a time limit.
Yeah.
It can't be like, well, this shit's going to last fucking 12 weeks. Like, nah. Right. You got to go to work. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, if it was $20 million, I might think about it, depending on what it was. There's some stuff I don't think I would be able to do for any amount of money, but I'd do a lot for $20 million.
Well, if you look at fucking Joe Rogan's Fear Factor back in the day, there's a lot of shit that they were doing there that I wouldn't do. Eating live spiders and eating live cave spiders and shit. No, I couldn't do that.
No, I don't think I could do that.
Having
either.
fucking huge fucking piles of roaches poured on them while they're in basically a coffin, a glass coffin. Be a lot of shit that would fuck me up. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, anything to do with bugs.
Yeah.
And anything like eating really gross shit.
Stuff, yeah.
Especially if they wouldn't let you throw up, because I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm throwing up.
Making dudes eat raw bull testicles.
See, I can't even watch other people do that. That show just made me want to heave just watching it.
And then making girls and dudes drink real bull and horse semen.
Yeah, I'm like, no thanks. Yeah, I saw that episode.
No thanks.
And I was just like, yeah, I was just gagging. I was like, turn it off. I just kept gagging and gagging.
Got that shit from the veterinarian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, right. Ben says, I read about a guy who was finally arrested. His MO was to board a ghost train ride. Then he would grope and attempt to rape young girls sitting near him. No one did anything. Yeah, I think I remember hearing about that, actually. CB said, this asshole is an insult to the fetish community. Yeah, as I said, a lot of people really do not like this man. And honestly, I can kind of see why.
I'm going to reserve my judgment until I've seen everything.
Yeah, like, I don't know him, but he does come across as a little...
He might have been providing a valuable...
I'm not really
a valuable service, just scaring the shit out of people. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably repeat customers, people into it. I don't know.
Now, yeah, there were a couple people that they interviewed that said they went, and then they went through it, and they could only last, like, 8 minutes. I think that was the average.
Yeah.
Even though the show was supposed to be 6 to 10 hours was how long you were supposed to do it.
8 minutes, huh?
And the average was 8 minutes. Now, the record was a woman, Sarah P., I think her name was, and she lasted 6 hours and 10 minutes, I believe. But nobody has even gotten close to that.
Man.
And they've had Navy SEAL people do it, evidently, and people like that. And she lasted the longest. I don't know what she did for, I don't know what.
I don't believe they had Navy SEAls. The Navy SEAL could put up with anything, pretty much. So can an Army Ranger.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going by what they said.
Yeah.
I'm just going by what they said. But they did have a few interviews with some women that had gone, and they didn't last that long the first time, and they went back again. Like, they wanted to prove to themselves they could do it. I do get doing something difficult as a way to like learn something about yourself or see if you can take it or something like
It's
that.
a rite of passage.
Like, yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I just seeing
Some people are thrill seekers.
the people going through this.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is they don't really seem to have a shortage of people wanting to do it. But then when the people get in there, 6 minutes later, they're like, fuck this noise. They're like, I was like, what did you think was going to happen? I guess like reading about it or thinking about it and experiencing it are two different things, I guess. Because most people just don't really last that long. So here's the thing. So he moves into Tennessee and immediately becomes notorious. Now, according to him, and this this alleged fact, has also been called into question. He said at some point that he had a waiting list for the place of, I believe, 17,000 people. And that everybody had to be vetted. Like, you got put on the waiting list, and there were all of these rules. Like, you had to be 21. You could be 18, 19, 20 if your parents gave permission, but other than that, you had to be 21 and up. You had to bring a doctor's note saying that you were in good physical and mental condition. You had to show proof of health insurance. You had to take a drug test. You couldn't be on any drugs. You couldn't smoke. No swearing. Isn't that funny? You can't swear in the haunt either.
Wonder why.
Well, because Russ McKamey, even though he seems kind of like a lunatic with all of this stuff that he's into, is super conservative and super not in like old fashioned and not into swearing.
Weird.
So,
Okay.
They're in there pulling your fingernails out or whatever, and you go, fuck, and they're like, all right, get out. Which is, like, ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous.
I mean, he apparently gets off on watching people get tortured, but
They curse
allegedly,
out,
but, fuck, oh, well, that ruined it for me, I guess. That's so bizarre.
That's fucking funny, man.
That's so bizarre.
See,
I wouldn't make it 2 seconds.
He thinks he's Chuck Norris. He thinks he's Chuck
Maybe
Norris.
that's what it is.
Chuck
That's
Norris,
right.
Chuck Norris can't be in a movie that has any swearing. Yeah.
He's a man out of time.
Yeah.
You're a man out of time, Chuck Norris.
If he's still with us, I'm not sure Chuck's still with. I guess maybe he is.
He's still alive, isn't he?
Is he? I don't know.
I thought he was still alive.
Is. He probably is. I think I would have heard if he died.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, not that I keep track of all that kind of stuff, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Isn't that why he wouldn't be in the Expendables?
No, he was in the Expendables, but he forced the Expendables to be PG. There couldn't be any swearing in it. But I think that was Expendables 3 or 2. I don't remember. But I never seen the theatrical releases. I've only seen like the, because I have them on Blu-ray.
Right.
I have only seen like the director's cuts. They had cussing in it.
Oh, okay.
And
So no one listened to Chuck. They're
well,
like,
I
whatever,
think
we
in
don't
the
need you in the movie.
In the theatrical release, there was no cursing. The one that had Chuck Norris in it.
What did everybody say? I mean, did they just...
I don't know.
Did they come up with creative
I don't know. I never saw it.
workarounds?
I only saw the
Right.
director's cut.
Okay.
And there was, that was not a heavy cursing type movie anyway. But it was like
all right.
rated R for the violence, and I guess, I don't remember anybody cursing actually. No, there probably was, yeah. There was cursing in it.
I can't really think of
Yeah.
that many movies that I've
Yeah.
seen that didn't have cursing in it.
Sylvester Stallone, I don't think he did much cursing in it. Barney Ross. That was
Relative ears?
that was his, yeah.
Yeah.
He played my cousin.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that was one of the weirdest things to me is that you're not allowed to, and he won't allow anything. This is a little bit weird too, considering some of the allegations that have been made against him, but he won't allow anything of a sexual nature in the haunt, which is different than Blackout, which is probably the second most famous extreme haunt. That's kind of more, as I said, more like psychological, and that one is very much centered on like nudity and sexuality and things like that, trying to make you really uncomfortable. But they don't touch you though.
Yeah.
This place they do. They will absolutely just beat the shit out of you. So there's that. Yeah, so the $20,000, as I said, I don't know if it ever existed For a while, he said, well, I stopped doing it because it was attracting all the crazies, which, okay. And then he supposedly reinstated it, but nobody thinks that it really existed. Most people think it didn't really exist because what he would do, like, and there's video of this too, because this was one of the videos that was on the channel. There was a guy, and he was going through the haunt, and he'd been doing it, I think it was the third hour, like he'd gone for 3 hours, I believe, and he started like shaking uncontrollably, like hypothermia type thing. And that's one of the things it says in the waiver. It's like, if you start acting like hypothermia, we're pulling you immediately out, which is good. But he started doing that, and they were like, okay, well, we have to pull you out. And he's like, no, I'm fine. I want to keep going. I want to keep it. He was all fucked up, you know what I mean? Like, he was all bloody and everything. And so he's like, no, it's fine. And then Russ was talking to him, and basically the guy was like, no, I want to keep going. No, you can't keep going. You can't. So the allegation is that if it looks like you're going to go to the end, he will stop it, so he doesn't have to give you the money.
Yeah. That would follow.
Right.
You know,
I don't know if that's true, but that's
allegedly.
Some people have speculated that there really isn't any money.
Yeah.
That
if you start getting too close to it,
if you start getting either that or he won't end it. He'll just keep on. Oh, well, there's more stuff you have to do this and this and this until you just give up. You know what I mean? So it could be that too. But yeah, it was really interesting watching this video of him interacting with this guy, because the guy very clearly, I mean, like I said, he looked fucked up, but he was very clear that he wanted to continue and that he was fine to continue. And Russ sort of manipulated him
into Ebola went out.
into stopping. Yeah. And the weird thing about this too is that most of these, because this isn't the only extreme haunt, it's just the most notorious one. As far as I'm aware, all of them have a safe word. Just like in the fetish community, when shit's happening that you don't want and you want to tap out, you're supposed to have a word that you say and everything stops immediately. Now, and it says this in the waiver too, which I kind of want to get into in a little bit. It says in the waiver that you can either have a safe word or not. But then Russ McKamey was very big on how he would always say, oh, safe words are for wimps and we don't have those and all this other shit. But in some of the videos, some of the people did have safe words, because I think state law in Tennessee, you have to have that where you can say, get me out of here right now, and you have to let them out. So he supposedly had to have one, even though in the waiver you can pick whether you want one or not. It's very contradictory. But in some of the videos that are up on the channel, people are very clearly saying the safe word, and he just keeps going. Like, he doesn't stop. And I think it even says in a different part of the waiver that even if you say the safe word, we'll stop when we feel like it, or if we feel like it.
Okay.
So they're saying that, and the thing about it too is that after you tap out, and it says this in the waiver also, that they're still allowed to beat the shit out of you, like while you're walking to your car, doing the walk of shame. Like, they can go after you and still fuck with you, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's this whole thing. All right, so let me show you. I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to read to you some of the shit from this waiver. Now, as I said, this was a version that was supposedly leaked online, and this is apparently the thing that people signed when they went in because of various things that they said on the videos and things like that. So this is apparently the right one. And here's the thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously, because a bunch of it's just kind of boring legalese kind of stuff. But so the first thing it says, all of these clauses that it has. Participant fully understands that MM is extremely physical. Oh, the grammar is really bad in this, I noticed. Is extremely physical, and that participant will leave MM with bumps, bruises, cuts, or other possible injuries, including possible broken bones. Participant understands that injuries are never on purpose at MM. I'm not sure if I believe that. And participant is fully aware of the risk, takes full responsibility. Participant fully understands that MM is not a fight club, and will refrain at all times from fighting with the actors. Like, they're allowed to hit you, but you're not allowed to hit them back. That's another rule. Participant was warned numerous times about the intensity of MM by the owners and other members of the crew, and that you really do not want to do this, in big letters. They do tell you that over and over. You really don't want to do this. You really don't want to do this, they tell them. And participant agreed. Now, this is funny, because a lot of these clauses are contradictory. Like, it'll contradict shit, like, later on. Participant agrees and understands that your life is, in reality, not in danger, and this is just a game. Okay. Participant understands, agrees that they realize they are not being tortured, and this is just a game. Okay. Participant understands and agrees that they are not being beat up, kicked, slugged, or actually physically harmed. You will be roughed up, but no one is here to hurt you. Knowing that MM is very rough and not for the meek, participant will have bumps, bruises, possible black eyes, swelling of the face, etc. But, you know, you're not being beat up, though.
I think they're just trying to cover their asses.
That's yeah. Well, yeah. Never being held against their will. They're never threatened for real. Let's see. A live theatrical show. That's what they're calling it. They understand that the people are just actors. Signing the waiver, taking all this off. Participant agrees to and has full knowledge that if selected to visit the barber, participant may leave MM completely bald, including eyebrows. One of their favorite things to do was take, particularly girls, they would take them in there and shave their heads and then make them eat their hair. That was like
how much of their hair?
But, well, they would just pick it up. And the thing about it was that they'd go in the barber and there was all this hair all over the floor, like from previous people. And they would just pick it up and like stuff it in their mouth and like force them to eat it.
Yeah. This isn't that fucking out of the pale. I mean,
wait.
Okay.
This is like I haven't even got to the good shit yet.
So far, this is just kind of a horror version of, say, Sand Hill Infantry Basic Training.
I haven't even got to the other stuff yet.
Yeah, something like that.
I haven't got to the other stuff yet.
Okay.
Participant agrees and acknowledges, like I said, the grammar is bad, that mouse traps are used within the tour, which may result in bruising, cutting, or breakage of fingers. Participant agrees that if selected, they could be buried alive under 12 feet of dirt and rock, to which they will have a limited amount of air, and that they will have to figure out how to escape. And they could possibly breathe in a significant amount of dust, dirt, or foreign objects that may cause death if participant does not breathe properly or hold their breath in the right time.
I don't buy it.
Participant agrees to partake, if selected to participate, in a height stunt that involves walking a plank 25 feet above the ground with no safety net. Participant agrees that if selected, they will come in contact with a variety of live, poisonous animals. I think they mean venomous animals.
Yeah.
It is the participant's responsibility not to panic or agitate the animals. If participant is bitten, it is because the participant made a sudden movement within a confined, secured environment. Participant acknowledges and agrees to be submerged in 60 feet of open water. Participant acknowledges and agrees that their breathing apparatus will be removed, and that it is participants' responsibility to make their way to the surface on their own. If done incorrectly, there's a real chance of participant drowning or receiving decompression sickness or the bends. Oh,
you're way...
Well, I know. I'm trying to... thank you very much, Trey. Hey, guys, listening on a regular basis again. Lately, it's good to be catching the shows live again. Sorry for the interruption. Hey, no problem. No problem at all. Thank you very much for the super chat. Yeah, I got way behind because I was reading this stuff over here, and I needed to put it over here. So yeah, decompression sickness, which could cause permanent injury, even death. Let's see. Now, see, participant acknowledges and agrees that it is 100% the participant's responsibility to use the safe phrase if they feel they are suffering from any bodily injury, from any mental impairment, or if the tour becomes too much for the participant in any way. Participant understands and agrees that they will absolutely get cuts, severe bruising, and or swelling due to open-handed striking on their face and other physical contact, which could result in black eye, possible rope burns to the face, neck, arms, hands, legs, or feet. Participant agrees and understands they might come in contact with electrical stimulation. All right. Participant agrees and understands it is quite possible they may come in contact with raw sewage. So there's that. Participant agrees. Oh, and I want to talk about this. Participant agrees that their entire tour will be viewed by a live audience in Las Vegas, the Philippines, and or Thailand, and that they will act appropriately. So many people have speculated, because Russ McKamey didn't make any money directly from McKamey Manor, as in charging for tickets like a normal haunt would, that he was somehow making money, perhaps on the dark web, by live streaming it for people who would pay to tell him what to make the people do, right?
Yeah.
Now, from everything that I could discern, most people that know him and kind of know anything about the operation say there's no way in hell that he would know how to do that.
Didn't have the technical skills.
No, basically not. They're like, I mean, if you've seen the design of the website, it's pretty dire. So, but they're like, he couldn't figure out, they're like, he had pretty low tech cameras and stuff like that. They're like, there's really no way that he would even know how to access the deep web, probably. And even if he did, he didn't have the technology needed to live stream it and get people coming in saying this, that. Because this started, I mean, I kind of feel like the big heyday of this was maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere around there.
Sounds like part of the waiver is to scare the shit out of you.
I think that might be, I mean, some of the shit does happen according to people that have been through it. But some of the stuff that's in here is
just
like,
to weird you
is
out.
Crazy.
They're gonna bury you. They're not gonna bury you.
Is crazy. Although I think some people did say that they had been buried, but you know what I mean.
How'd they get them out?
I'm not really sure.
If that person crushed and they died, the waiver wouldn't matter.
Well, yeah.
I don't think the waiver would matter.
Yeah. Let me see what else.
It's dangerous to bury somebody.
Yeah. Well, anything, and honestly,
magicians have tried. There are magicians that tried it live. There's a video of it. It was buried in the damn coffin. And the thing fucking collapsed, and it killed him. And they had a bulldozer right there to get him out of there, but he was dead by the time they got to him.
A couple of magicians have died doing that trick. It's a trick, but it's still very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous. A lot of those were, like a lot of the Houdini stuff. I mean, you could absolutely still die doing that, even though it's a trick. And let me see, what else? Injuries from exposed screws or other protrusions. They may have injuries from scare tactics. Okay. Falling props. That's just random shit. Artificial fog. Let me see. Subdermal hemanoma. Having a panic attack. Participant fully understands and agrees that their tour may include the use of hypodermic needles, zappers, tasers, or dog shock collars. Participant fully understands and agrees they may be crushed in a pit by various objects. Participant fully understands and agrees that various fluids, such as food coloring, grease, theatrical blood, or other liquids, may be placed in participant's mouth. It is participant's responsibility not to swallow these fluids. Participant fully understands and agrees they may be fish hooked, which may inadvertently cause rippage to the mouth area, which actually happened to one girl who I'll talk about later, that she had to go to the hospital. Let's see. It was allergies, all this other kind of stuff. Pacemakers. Participant fully understands and agrees that if they are selected to visit the dentist, that they may have a tooth extracted without Novocaine and will not hold libel. Although they spell libel L-I-B-E-L, which is, you know, when you say something bad about somebody, instead of L-I-A-B-L-E, which is the correct spelling where you're holding someone responsible for something. So some people have argued that because they're using the wrong legal word, that maybe this isn't binding. I'm not really sure.
My lesbian army buddies in the chat. What's up, SideQuest?
Hey, SideQuest Hero.
Yeah. She's down here bringing some of that fucking female testosterone with her. Bringing some of that energy.
Bringing some of the energy.
Yeah, some of that energy. Some of that fucking army energy.
Now, here's the thing. I have seen videos of people going through McKamey Manor. And it does appear on some of these videos that people's teeth were indeed extracted. However, I don't think it's real. I'm not saying that some of the shit that happened to people wasn't real. Like, they absolutely are, like, punching people and kicking people and cutting their hair off and all that other kind of stuff. I don't think they're really pulling anyone's teeth out. I don't think. It looked fake to me, but I'm not really sure.
Sounds like they're trying to scare the shit out of them.
Yeah, and, you know, let's see, teeth chipped or broken. Participant fully understands and agrees it's possible that joints, i.e. jaw, shoulder, elbow, wrist, knee, hip, etc. may be accidentally dislocated. Participant fully understands and agrees they will be participating in various medieval torture devices, such as knife throwing while strapped to a spinning wheel, shackles, chains, stocks, the rack, etc. May be bruised by paintballs. I love this. Participant fully understands and agrees that MK Ultra mind control may be used.
Yeah.
Now, Russ McKamey has said that he was in the Navy for 23 years, and he said that his specialty was this kind of stuff, like mind control and all that. Okay. Now, his ex-partner, she might have been his wife or his girlfriend or something. She's like, he didn't know anything about it. She's like, he didn't do that in the Navy. So I don't know if that's true, but that's what she said.
No, but he's ex-military, so he knows what training programs are like. And
yeah.
He's fucking with people, kind of like you do in the service.
He seems a little, he's kind of one of those sort of like self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
You know, and he's always just kind of like, I can hypnotize you and I can make you believe anything.
That's where the Navy SEAL stories came from.
Right, maybe.
Because when you go into a bar, look, man, every time you meet a fucking guy from the Navy in a bar, he's a Navy SEAL. Every one of them.
Yeah, of course.
They're all Navy SEAls, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I met so many Navy SEAls.
Like, wow, I didn't know there were so many of you guys out there.
All right. He's a Navy SEAL.
Let me see, what else? So MK Ultra mind control, love that. Water torture may be used. A nail may pierce their hand. Doesn't say anything about crucifixion, I don't think. I haven't got to that point yet. Their hand may be smashed with tools. So there's that. Nails may be removed from their nail beds.
Yeah. There actually was, in one of the videos, there was footage of a girl's fingernail being done like that. Bent it backwards?
Yeah, but like I said, I don't know if it was real. It looked real. That did. The teeth pulling out, I don't think that was real, but I could be wrong about that. Medication may be given that induces hallucinations or sedatives given in pill form or by hypodermic at MM's discretion. Whatever we feel like doing.
Yeah.
Participant fully understands and agrees that if chosen, they may receive a tattoo or piercing. It is their responsibility to care for such a tattoo in order not to get hepatitis or other infection. Choking may occur, and that gagging or vomiting may occur. Which understands that MM will use humiliation tactics, such as name calling. They will be exposed to extreme temperatures. They may have a plastic bag or plastic wrap on their face, which could possibly cause suffocation, blackouts, etc. They may be in an enclosed chamber with live animals, which may include mice, rats, roaches, tarantulas, millipedes, centipedes, snakes, spiders, potato bugs. That seems kind of innocuous. Yeah. Worms, larvae, snails, slugs, grubs, crickets, etc. They may be asked to ingest live bugs. There is a lot of footage of people eating bugs and bugs crawling on their face and
what
stuff
kind of
like
bugs do they make them eat?
Just roaches usually, grubs. I can't watch too much of that stuff. It makes me want to throw up. I can't watch.
Joe Rogan was having people eat fucking
well, that's
bugs.
why I couldn't watch that show. I didn't mind when it was just, hey, walk on this tightrope, like, or something like that. But when they were making him eat gross shit, I was just like, no, I'm out.
I loved fucking Fear Factor when that shit was fucking coming out.
Everybody did. Yeah, everybody watched that.
And Joe was really young then, and there was something about him, man. He had a fucking very strong force of will in the way he was. And fucking me and my buddy were watching that shit. Fucking he said, yeah, that Joe Rogan, that's the kind of dude that talks your wife into doing porn. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what that is. That's the kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's honestly a lot of the stuff, the bug eating and all that seems like a carryover from Fear Factor, and so it's not that crazy because there was a show. When was that on in the 90s, right? Yeah, that was on in the 90s. So
I'd like to see that again.
Well, don't make
TV.
Don't
like
make
that
me
anymore.
watch it.
That shit was wild, man.
Because that stuff just makes me not.
The only thing that sucked about him is that shit was very formatted, but it was just like a game show.
Yeah.
It was like the American version of Tashigi's Castle, but it was fucking gross. Here, drink this 1 quart of bull semen.
Yeah.
Fucking man. And I'll give you $5,000. And there's a guy standing there. Oh.
I would not do it for $5,000. I would probably not do it for any amount of money, but definitely not for piddling $5,000. Fuck that.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Just chug it. Don't think about it.
Yeah, easy for you to say.
Yeah, that's a
fucking Joe Rogan, dipshit.
He was good at it though, man. They do it.
I know. Well, they're on TV, you know.
They're on TV. Yeah,
it would be a bad. It would be a
Yeah.
bad TV show if they're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, do this," and everybody's like, "No, I'm not doing
It's
that."
$5,000. $5,000. Just do it. Just do it. 5,000. It's only gonna be a second.
Yeah, it's only gonna be a second.
Yeah.
I'd need a lot more than $5,000.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's like I said. That'll cover about a month of bills. That's about it. You know.
Well, that was each little. You know, what I'm talking about. That person might make
Yeah.
70,000 on that
I know.
fucking show. You know, just on that episode.
I just, you know.
Each event was worth a certain amount of money, and I think he would also raise the prices too.
Right.
Sometimes.
I mean, I need money and stuff, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of shit I'm not gonna do.
Fear factor, man.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I wouldn't mind. Here's the thing. I would do shit like, I wouldn't mind laying in a box and letting rats or mice crawl on me. That doesn't bother me. Or even snakes doesn't bother me. Roaches is another story.
Yeah, they poured roaches up to they just cover you up. Just your fucking. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't think I could do that. But
Yeah.
snakes, rats, mice, that doesn't bother me. But bugs, I'm not even that bothered by spiders. But roaches, fuck that. I don't know why roaches bother me a lot more than other creepy crawlies do. Because spiders don't really bother me all that much. But Tom hates spiders, but they don't bother me. But roaches can fuck right off. I'm just not having it. So where was I? Okay, so participant understands and agrees they may be enclosed in containers with limited air, submerged underwater, or restrained. They will be exposed to a caged drowning pool, and that their head will be completely engulfed in a toilet. Possible drowning may occur. And participant will not hold MM responsible if you drown. You'll be dead, so you can't hold them responsible. You know, obviously your family could. Understands and agrees their hands and feet will be zip tied, may be hung upside down by their ankles. That when they are taken hostage in the first moments of the tour, it's extremely physical and daunting. Participant will receive bumps, bruises, possible sprains and broken bones, black eyes, etc. And won't hold us responsible for that. They have to confirm they're not electronically wired for surveillance. Not to bring any weapons inside. You have to have medical insurance. No drugs or alcohol. As I said, they did a drug test when you got there. And you've never been arrested or incarcerated for a felony, which is crazy because, allegedly, as time went on and the haunt got more and more extreme, he would actually hire people who were convicted felons. And one of the guys they asked was... they asked him what he'd been in for, and he said murder. Although later on, he's like, I was just kidding. It was just robbery. But he was still a convicted felon. Also, some of them were white supremacists, so there was that. But yeah, super fun. But they found that out later on. So yeah. And oh yeah, you have to say you're not with law enforcement and you're not part of a sting operation, because he was real paranoid about that. And
let me go ahead and make another drink.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. So it says right here, Clause 91, that there's no quitting until the staff of MM stops the show due to completion or because participant is at a physical or psychological level that it's best that the tour is stopped. But as I said, there's kind of a contradiction because you're supposedly allowed to stop anytime you want by saying the safe word, but there are multiple examples on the channel of people saying the safe word and them just keep on going anyway. And then they start berating the person for being a wuss for saying the safe word, you know? So really the safe word doesn't seem to do much of anything. I think they just added that because of the law, but then they didn't really adhere to it, I guess, allegedly. Not entirely sure how that was going. But... so, and the thing about it is that, so it says that they are allowed to do all this stuff. Your fingers will get broken. We're going to pull your mouth apart. We're going to pull your teeth out. We're going to cut your hair off. We're going to do all this other stuff. But then, like, the clause before that is all, but you understand that we're not hurting you. And I'm like, that kind of sounds like you're hurting them, though. Another thing, too, and I can't remember what clause it is. It might be farther down. But one of the clauses is if the police are called at any point, because you have to understand this is on this dude's property. He has neighbors. And the neighbors are understandably not super happy about all of this going on and have called the cops multiple times because they're like, look, we know that's a haunt and everything, but we saw this woman being dragged down the road by a chain. You know what I mean? Like they had her chained up and they were dragging her down the concrete. So, and she was screaming and stuff. So they called the cops. And what you're supposed to say, he's like, if the cops show up, the person is supposed to tell them that everything is fine and you consented and you're not pressing charges and blah de blah. So they're even telling you that you're not allowed to get help from the police if on the, event that the police are called. And another thing too is that you consent to have everything filmed and you are not allowed to have the film, like the video of you going through it, even if something happens and you sue him. He says you're not even allowed to have the video then. I'm like, I think the law would beg to differ on that. Like, if they subpoena that, then they can absolutely take it. So, I don't know, like, what... I'm not really sure what lawyer drafted this, to be honest. But it seems like he does kind of have all kinds of...
It doesn't sound like that was drafted by a lawyer. But not by this guy.
It doesn't. And honestly, like, a lot of the, the grammar is kind of bad. And so I'm not sure if he just wrote this out and he was just thinking of every possible scenario that could happen, and he's like, well, I'm just going to put all of this in here, whether we do it or not. Because I think some of the later iterations even had shit like, when he moved to a new property, he's like, he had this pool with like an underground haunt or an underwater haunt that had like alligators and shit like that. I'm like, I don't think so. And like and I was watching another thing about it that said, I looked at the property on Google Earth, I don't see anything big enough to like have fucking alligators in it.
Some of that stuff in there is to freak you out when they're reading it. Burying you alive.
Yeah.
Nah, they're not going to do that.
Well, that's what a lot of people have said, that, as fucked up as some of the stuff that happens to you on the tour is, a lot of the stuff that's in here is more of like psychological torture because they're trying to like freak you out before you do it. Like, all of this might happen, and and he just keeps saying, it's like, we keep telling them over and over that you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. And then if you do it anyway,
I don't think it's really a just, what do they call it, a waiver? What do you call this?
Yeah, it's a waiver.
A waiver. Yeah, I don't really think it's a waiver in the way you think it is. I think it's more of him fucking with you. You're agreeing to go through this shit, and then some of the shit is just bizarre. You know that's not gonna happen, but you still agreed to that.
Right.
So I don't really think a lawyer wrote that.
So just in case,
it's just
somebody
in case,
decided,
It's not worded in the way that a lawyer would word it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Yeah. Like, it seemed like some kind of boilerplate.
Yeah.
Like he just got it from somewhere and said, "This'll work." You know what I mean? I love this too. Participant fully understands and agrees that Russ McKamey and the staff of run a very clean and positive show. It's positive, y'all. No sexual or religious situations, and even cussing from the participant is not allowed inside so it's right there in the waiver. Participant agrees that they will eat a wide variety of digestible cuisine, not like that indigestible cuisine, from around the world, and that participant could be force-fed by an actor or another participant. Participant agrees that they may have to put their vomit on their person, such as in participant's face or into their mouth. And there is actually video of Russ talking to his staff saying, what do you do if somebody throws up? You pick it up and stuff it back in their mouth. And I'm like, I do not want this job. I don't want this job. I don't want any job where somebody says, hey, if somebody throws up, you have to pick it up and stuff it back in their mouth. Like, yeah, I quit. I quit. I'm going to go work at McDonald's or something. Just, no. Let's see. Participant agrees they will drink a wide variety of liquids, including food, coloring, blood. I think they already said that one. Liquid cuisine from around the world. Love that. That's where your bull semen comes in, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Some of that Joe Rogan special.
Ew. Participant agrees that there is a real possibility that their extremities may be crushed by heavy objects. Participant agrees that they will be submerged in a pit of undetermined material that could possibly crush their body. Undetermined material. Wonder what that could be. Anything. Yeah, that's a broad category. Participant agrees to have hundreds of pounds of chain wrapped around their body with the possibility of being crushed to death.
He's fucking with them.
Yeah.
Saying this.
Maybe severely whipped with a fire hose or a belt. They will be in very close.
Define severely.
Yeah, well.
See.
They will be in very close contact with fire surrounding their entire body with the real possibility of getting burned or possible death. Have their head enclosed in a box with bees, wasps, and maybe stung. May participate in a stunt involving a liquid such as quicksand, and it is your responsibility to remain calm and stay on top of the quicksand. There is a possibility that drowning may exist.
Yeah.
Drowning does exist. May occur, I think is what they wanted to say. Yeah. So they're using, like, wrong words.
Yeah.
If selected to participate in Houdini's Chinese water torture apparatus, which will include being submerged upside down by your ankles with a straitjacket in a cylinder with live moray eels.
He's fucking with you.
There is a real possibility of drowning. A participant is unable to control their breath. I mean, Houdini did that, but I don't think there were eels involved, though. I could be remembering.
Did he call it Chinese water torture?
Did he?
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either.
No.
I don't remember what he called that. We did a show about Houdini, but it was a long time ago.
I remember that stunt. I don't think it had anything to do with Chinese. I don't think he called it. Chinese water torture is when they're just dripping water on you
until it drives you crazy.
But it doesn't work, I wouldn't think. I've seen photographs of
I don't really see how that
stuff that the Chinese really did, breaking every bone in your body.
I mean, that seems a lot more like torture than just like water dripping on your head.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be annoying.
There's a lot of photographs of death of 1,000 cuts. They were tying people to poles and just cutting little cuts all over them and taking little pieces of them out. And it's just old black and white photos. There was a crowd of people was doing it. It looks like early 1900s.
Yeah.
During the warlord era. I don't know why. China had all kinds of weird shit going on in it. It wasn't a unified country at that time.
Let me see. What else can we expect going on this? Buried in a pit with hundreds of live rodents, mice, rats, and tied down until they figure out the proper escape mechanism. It is participants' responsibility to remain calm. Even so, the possibility of being nibbled upon is extremely high. Nibbled upon or bit. High-speed barrel roll, where the participant will be inside a 55-gallon drum as the barrel rolls down a severely steep mountain.
That'd be fun.
It's participants' responsibility to secure themselves inside the drum in order to not receive serious injury.
Yeah,
the drum will end in a 10-foot pond.
Yeah. That'd be fun. The pond part I could do without.
Yeah, we don't need the pond part.
Yeah, you just press up against the walls and roll it down. Like my buddy Jimmy did back in California when we were up 7. Well, yeah, I was about 6 or 7. He would get into the dryer, and his brother would turn a dryer on. And he'd get about 2 or 3 rotations, and then he'd open it back, and he'd hold on to it. He says, "It gets hot in there."
Oh my god. Well, yeah, that's kind of the whole point of the dryer.
But we did it with the door open.
Oh, okay.
We held the door. There's like a little door latch sensor. We would hold that in, and he'd get in there, and he'd turn it on. He'd do about 3 or 4 rotations, and then we stopped it. Then he'd come out and it got hot in there quick. Jimmy did that.
As I said,
he grew up to be a California highway patrolman. Chips. Fucking funny.
We were talking about the bull semen. Ben said people drink human semen for a lot less. That's true.
But it's human.
Yeah. And you're not drinking angle, like a whole fucking glass of it.
Yeah, the whole bull angle is kind of more dehumanizing. That was on Fear Factor, man.
Yeah. And they made don't talk about it too much.
Made the dudes eat raw bull testicles too. They were they weren't in the sack. They were just out there. And he's like, "Come on, people, eat those. It's just raw. Just swallow it. Don't you can chew it if you want to. Fucking just swallow it."
You can chew it.
Yeah,
oh, may I?
They were pretty big.
That sounds awesome.
It was pretty big.
That's fucking hilarious.
And he was offering them money to do it. And "Come on, I'll give you $6,000 and you'll go on to the next round." And they would do it. But I think the bull semen, we're talking about like a quart of the shit.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot of it.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, I don't want to drink a quart of anything.
And they were like,
well,
I don't know. And he goes, "No, it just comes from the cattle industry, man. Artificial insemination just comes from the cattle industry."
It's like, yeah,
it won't hurt you.
Really not making it any better.
They're like, it won't hurt you.
It's not poisonous or anything. It's not making it any better.
Yeah.
Mango said, "Didn't this guy get taken to court at some point? Amazingly, he has not." I don't believe, and please correct me if you know different, I don't believe he's even ever been sued. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I don't know. He's just either really good at covering his ass, or he's really good at intimidating people into not suing him, or I'm not really sure what the deal is. I don't know. Let me see. What other fun things are we going to do in McKamey Manor? Let's see. Participant agrees that if selected, they will have to swim 200 yards underwater in a makeshift sewer system with several obstacles and traps blocking their way.
Yeah, Ranger School.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in the sewer.
He's gotten that. He got that from the Navy. There's some Navy stuff that's kind of like that they do. Passing the equator, they make them do all this fucking weird ass fucking shit, putting their fucking belly, rubbing their face in the belly of the fucking King Neptune and shit. They had the big old fattest motherfucker they got up there, and they rub his belly up. You gotta rub your face in his belly. Had to climb through it, go through all this. My dad told me this. He was on to Yorktown. There's all kinds of shit they had to do. They had to go through fucking a whole, like a swimming pool that they had set up out there that's filled with fucking garbage and just all the nasty shit from, you know, like the kitchen, and just all mixed in it. I think it had motor oil in it and shit too, you know. Just you had to swim in that, and it's all kinds of weird shit the Navy does. So he's coming up with Navy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but going through fucking tunnels, submerged tunnels, Army did that too, through certain courses. I never had to do it very much. Like, I think the furthest one I had to go through was probably about 50 meters maybe. And it wasn't fully submerged. You know what I mean? It was half filled with water. You're not going there alone. The whole team's going through it. It is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
That's where he's getting at.
I mean, that wouldn't be that terrible as long as it wasn't sewage.
It is sewage. That's what they're simulating. What they're talking about is like the Battle of Stalingrad, where a lot of it was happening in the sewers. You couldn't walk around on the surface of Stalingrad. You get killed by snipers. So they were in the sewers. There was a whole that whole battle, a lot of it was teams of dudes with submachine guns in sewers shooting at each other. Germans and Russians. As Americans, we missed that war. Most of it was between the Germans and the Russians. They were fucking brutal, man. Our war was mostly against the Japanese.
Ben says, that disclaimer form is ironclad. I mean, they did kind of cover a lot of stuff. Also says, if there's a real possibility that they may experience hypothermia. If hypothermia becomes an issue, the tour will stop immediately, no questions asked. That's pretty much the only thing that they say that about. And see, okay, now, as I said about the safe word kind of thing, this is what this clause says. It says that even though participant acknowledges that even though participant has decided to quit the tour, as in they use their safe word, the tour will from that point slowly ramp down. So they don't stop immediately to continue with the illusion for film purposes, because he wants to get all that footage, right? And he's said that before too. He said that's why he does it, because he wants the footage, which some people, not me, have said that he uses later to pleasure himself too. I'm not really
using what? Uses the videos?
The videos. I'm not sure. Other people have said that, not me.
How can you prove it?
Well, no, I can't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I just said other people have said that.
Yeah.
So you use the safe word, and then they say we're not going to stop. We're just going to ramp it down. And the ramping down can also include roughing up, sticking your head underwater, choking you, harassing you, slapping you, etc., until the quote-unquote walk of shame begins. Let me see. Coming in contact with various bodily fluids. One of the big things that and even his ex-partner said this, and then I don't even think they talk anymore, but they used to have, because they had a bunch of dogs, so they had like this big barrel of the dog poop that they saved.
Yeah. And
they loved to use the dog poop.
Okay, yeah.
In the stuff, like sticking people's faces in it, like sticking in people's mouths. It's like all that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, this is sounding funner and funner. Where do I sign up? I can't wait. I can't wait. Why would anybody want to do this?
For $20,000 that probably doesn't exist.
As I said, if I was going to do something like this, it better be $20 million, and I better get it, like, that better be an ironclad fucking.
I think the people doing this, you're just doing it for the fucking kicks.
I think so too, because there's a lot of weird. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that it's. I can't think of a possible reason that I would want to do anything like this.
Nah, it's just thrill-seeking activity.
Now, supposedly, one of the things, and I don't know if they always let you do this, but I think that one of the things that when you went in there and read the waiver, that you were allowed to say 2 things out of all the shit that they listed that you absolutely didn't want done. Whether they would do it to you anyway, I kind of suspect they probably would.
Oh,
They'd probably do that even more.
Yeah.
Because before you did it, they would supposedly have to check out who you were, check your identity, blah, blah, blah. So they would contact you over FaceTime. You had to, do like a video interview and all this other stuff. And they would try to get out of you what you were scared of so they could kind of curate it to your fears specifically, which I was like, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you say, oh, I'm really scared of like...
Yeah, I'm scared of titties.
Right. That's and a lot of people commented that. It's like, really I'm terrified of like kittens and strippers and nice cold beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Scared of big old booties. Scared.
I'm just terrified ever since I was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see this big round booty and I'm like, oh shit, no, not that. Cover it up.
Yeah, but as I said, you're not the only person that said that. Well, yeah, they're like, since you're trying to be smart, we're gonna make the experience even fucking worse. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so this is kind of all over the place. I don't think they're trying to get out of if you have PTSD afterward or something like that. Hundreds of welts from a paintball gun. That was another thing.
Zach could just go in there. Look, don't make me do any gay stuff. Okay. No gay stuff. Don't do anything. Don't put any dicks in my face. Don't make me suck any dicks. Don't make me jump up in the air and land on a dick. Don't let me do that kind of shit. You're right, Zach. Oh, Zach's probably not even there.
He is. He's right there.
Okay.
Now imagining that place with a bunch of creepy drag queens running around.
Is this Zach talking?
Yeah,
Zach. I knew you were gonna fucking pipe up, Zach. I knew that.
But see, that's the thing. This, unlike some of the other extreme haunts, he's very Chuck Norris about things. You can't swear, and there's like apparently no sexual situations.
Yeah.
So like no nudity, no simulated rape or anything like that, which they do actually do at Blackout. I think that's what I've heard anyway. But yeah, they don't do that at this one. They just kick the shit out of you pretty much. Let me see. You can't. You have to say you don't have AIDS or bloodborne illnesses or anything like that. You'll endure a 1 mile walk of shame back to your vehicle after you quit. You agree that you'll be dragged on dirt, cement, or other various ground environments. So, and that actually did happen because the neighbors saw a woman being dragged on the concrete by a chain and called the police. So there was that. And yeah, so all kind of stuff. Push, shoved. And like you said, this isn't even really in any kind of order because there's just stuff all over the place. And some of the stuff is repeated and I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, that was kind of the most of the stuff. I'm going to close that out because I'm done talking about that. But yeah, so all of this stuff, a lot of the stuff that's in there, obviously, burying people alive, hanging them upside down and putting them in the water and stuff. I don't know how common that was, but I guess, as I said, he was just trying to cover his bases, right? So, I forgot to mention that, I just saw it in my notes and I said, I forgot to mention this, is that Russ McKamey, other than being in the Navy and stuff like that, his other job was he was a wedding singer. He was like a wedding DJ. Okay. And I was like, watching him, I was like, yeah, I could see it. He does come across as very much that kind of...
Well, he's from the theater, too.
A little bit. A little bit kind of... You know how those wedding DJs are? Mm-hmm. Kind of smarmy and cheesy, and it's just that kind of stuff. It kind of comes across like that. So, as you might imagine, once this moved to Tennessee and kind of got a wider notoriety, I guess, a lot of people started complaining, and they're essentially, because they're like, well, essentially this is legalized torture, right? It's like you're having these people come in here, they sign this waiver, which may or may not be legally binding, and you're just beating the crap out of these people.
They're getting hazed.
And yeah, and you know, some of the people said they got waterboarded. Like several people said they got waterboarded.
Yeah.
Which that kind of tracks, because they said a lot of the worst shit that happened in there was that kind of stuff, like submerging people's head in water and trying, like, simulated drowning and that kind of stuff, which is, you know, that's obviously not great. But a lot of the shit did kind of seem like Guantanamo Bay kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so people are like, well, that's kind of where the moral quandary is. How far can you go with this? You know, the people consented, evidently.
Yeah, they say, well, the feds say this isn't torture. They do it to prisoners.
Right. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So here's the thing. Okay. Now, as I said, he kind of did tailor each show supposedly around people's fears, because he would, talk to them beforehand. And so a lot of legal experts have said that Russ uses all these loopholes to keep out of getting arrested. And there was actually one video, and I've seen clips of this video, where this dude, they fucked him up so bad that he kept passing out, and they stopped because they thought he was dead. Like, he wasn't, but they thought he was, and you could hear them on the video going, "Bro, is he dead?" Like they were kind of freaking out about it. So yeah. Now, as far as I know, as far as anyone said, there have been, amazingly, no deaths at McKamey Manor. The weird thing about that, though, was I was reading this article, and according to this article, because, you know, McKamey Manor had its official Facebook page or whatever, and he would post videos on there of, you know, people going through the haunt and of him talking and stuff. And apparently he said something that actually 2 people had died in the haunt. But then the video got taken down, like, pretty quickly. So he probably took it down, or he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. But I don't know if that's true or not. Now, he did say that somebody had a heart attack, which doesn't surprise me. But the dude didn't die. Or was it a dude? I think it was a dude. And that was like a few years back.
Maybe he
and
just made those claims to try to sensationalize that.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what a lot of people are, and I'm not saying that, like, because some people have gone through there and they had horrible things happen to them. And they were hurt, they had to go to the hospital, things like that. So they are fucking people up. They are beating people up. They are doing shit like that. But a lot of it, I feel like, is probably just him trying to get attention, you know, and trying to get people to talk about it by...
Edgelord.
Yeah, by saying we do all this stuff and there's no safe word and all this other kind of stuff. Now, probably the most famous person that went through it, she's not a famous person, but the most well-known person that went through it and talked about what happened was named Laura Brotherton. And she went through it, like, in the fairly early days when it was still in San Diego. And she said that she had to go to the hospital after the worst injuries, as far as she was just, like, fucking beat up and shit all over, but they put their fingers in her mouth and pulled, you know what I mean? So they kind of tore,
oh man,
like her, yeah,
damn.
like that. So yeah, so she had that done. She said she also got blindfolded with duct tape and was hung upside down by her ankles and submerged in water, just like it says in the waiver. She said that they did that to her, and she also claimed that she was buried alive, but she only had a straw to breathe through.
Right?
Yeah. And other people, as I said, have said that they have been forced to eat their own vomit, which, like I said, there's a video of Russ McKamey talking to the staff saying, hey, if somebody throws up, pick it up and stuff it back in their mouth. So that doesn't really seem like that crazy a claim. People said they got their faces shoved in rancid water, locked in coffins with spiders, things of that nature. So, as I mentioned, the neighbors not super happy about it. And like a lot of, this is in Summertown, Tennessee. And so, the county commissioner actually said that there had been a cop called to the property, as I mentioned earlier, where after a neighbor saw a woman being dragged from a van, as that was right after because they kidnap you at the beginning, and they throw you in a van and then take you to the place. And so the cops come there, and evidently the cops come there, and the people are supposed to say, I'm here of my own volition, everything's fine, and I think Russ is just saying, hey, we're filming a movie. So I think after that happened a couple of times, he actually sort of established a relationship with the local police where he said, look, we film movies here, is what he's saying. Because they film videos, so I guess that's technically, and he puts them on YouTube. So he's like, he tells the cops when they're going to be doing it, right, so no one will complain, or so they won't come out there. That's what I heard anyway. So, as we said, again, we don't think there's a $20,000. I don't think there's a $20,000. Most people think there's not, because no one has ever finished. And if you look like you're going to finish, then Russ will cut it off for some reason. He denies that, but it did look like that was kind of what he was doing. And as I mentioned, the person that went the longest was a woman named Sarah P. She went for 6 hours, I believe a little over 6 hours, 6 hours and 10 minutes. But again, I don't even remember what it was. I don't know what it was that stopped it. I think he stopped it. Because I was listening to an interview with a couple of girls that had done it. And they were like, yeah, we went for a while, but then we didn't even stop it. He stopped it.
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of feel like he's just, if you look like you're going to go the distance, he's just like, yeah, we're not going to do that, because he doesn't want to get into a kind of thing where people are like, hey, where's my money? Because you're like, you can't finish. And the thing about it is that supposedly, and I think he kind of just came, but this is kind of a nebulous claim that he makes, but he supposedly has a secret McKamey Manor facility in Huntsville, Alabama, I believe it is. And then, like, after you finish the shit in Tennessee, then you have to go to that one and do that. So I'm like, what, before you get the money? See, I don't think that place exists either. I think most people don't think that place exists. I think he just makes it up. He just made it up allegedly because...
Well, he knows the system because he's been through military courses before.
Right.
If you have instructors on the courses that are against you, they can fail you. Okay? An instructor just may not like you, and they can fail you. He's kind of doing that. But to have any semblance of fairness, it has to be uniform. There has to be a pre-planned course that everyone goes through, the same order, the same duration for each challenge. You know what I mean? It has to be a system. It has to be system. It can't be something you just pull out your ass. You know. And it sounds to me like this was probably done on the fly, just until they got sick of you. At 6 hours, okay, you gotta go. You might pass this. We've done all we could do.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's probably. They're like, yeah,
right.
We're getting kind of tired.
Right.
We don't really want to do it.
Now you have
anymore.
to have impartial instructors, or in this case, impartial actors or torturers. Whatever you want to talk about. That way, everybody gets the same amount.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If not, you can just bolo somebody out of it.
Right.
Say, oh, no, or say, oh, you've had too much, you got to go. You can't do that. It has to be something that everything has to be uniform, and then the person to pass has to achieve certain goals that are plainly achieved. To say, okay, that one passed it.
Yeah. See, I think
can't just be vague.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where, if he just wanted, because it didn't seem like people would probably do it for nothing. I mean, obviously. Yeah. Because most of those people probably thought, they didn't know that there was $20,000, and I think for a while he didn't even offer it, and people were doing it anyway. Yeah. So why even offer that? Like, unless it was just for publicity, which probably it was, because that just kind of brings up a whole new set of legal problems, because you're offering a prize, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you're offering a prize, your X amount of money for getting through McKamey Manor, it has to be the same for everybody. You have to do X, Y, Z, and then you get the money. If you can't do it, then you don't get the money.
And each challenge has to have clearly defined goals.
Right.
The goals are about what the person, what score they have to achieve, and what is it they have to avoid. In other words, like in the military, be like, you must score expert. To score expert, you have to hit fucking 18 out of 20 of these fucking targets with a rifle.
Right.
if you get 17, you didn't pass, and everybody saw it happen. So it has to be things like that.
Yeah. You can't just like have everybody come in and just be like, well, I'm just gonna let my staff kick the shit out of you for however long until you get sick of it or we get sick of it, and then we'll decide it's over and we'll kick you out.
Old school Sears school, which is survival, escape, and evasion. You're at the prisoner of war camp. They're fucking you up. Okay. Each candidate is given one chance or given one opportunity to escape the camp. If you don't take that chance, they're never going to give you the other chance, so you failed. If you take the chance, you have escaped. Once you escaped, they're going to look for you. If they catch you, you fail. That's clearly defined goals.
Right.
Well, something like this is not really clearly defined goals.
Yeah, it's really not.
You can rig that system easily.
And that does seem to have been what happened. I'm not saying that he did that on purpose or that was the goal from the outset. I'm just saying that if you're going to offer $20,000 and make this big deal about it, his rationale is, oh, well, everybody always tapped out, before, so nobody won because it was just too hardcore and too extreme for them. Which, sure, that could be the case. But it does seem, even from watching some of the videos that are on their YouTube channel, it does seem like it's just kind of an all over the place experience because it's to some degree tailored to the person, what their fears are and stuff like that. But as you said, there aren't really any goals. There aren't any milestones like do this and then you get the money.
Right.
So I don't think that he ever, and honestly, I heard that after like toward the end, he was broke anyway. So he said that he had $20,000.
If it was a military course, and he has a military background, so that's where he got the idea. If it was a military style course, the course would be a definite length. It would be a bunch of events. You have to pass each event to go on to the next one. All right, and then there has to be judges.
Yeah.
To go, they passed. Okay, that one passed.
Right.
So it's not something just done on the fly. And then they pass, and then if you pass it, you get the $20,000. And the judges that doing the passing, that's not his $20,000. So he doesn't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
It has to be impartial. That's the way a military course is set up, supposedly. They're not all. Sometimes they're hand-picking guys and not telling. But, they don't care who. That's not a good way to say it. Everything is situational in the military. If they need guys, they just need them. So they'll just fucking pick them. But the standards are real high because they got a fucking shit ton of recruits. They'll raise the standards to get the best ones. But in the 70s, for example, and during Vietnam, there was no choice. They couldn't they were drafting everybody. No one was volunteering for any kind of elite unit. They just picked you. And you survived or you died.
Yeah.
They'd be like, okay, you're going to a fucking army recon platoon, all right? You better learn what they say. If not, you'll just be killed out there. So, there's incentive to fucking be as good as you can,
CB says, fetish bars and clubs don't do contracts to stop people using it to hurt everyone and anyone they want. Yeah, that's kind of where this differs from, the consent kind of stuff that you would go into, like you said, in some kind of fetish event. Particularly one of the consensual, non-consensual. Because the thing about it is that fetish clubs, everyone's just wants to have a good time. Like, they like pain, depending on what your fetish is. So there's a little crossover there. But this seems to be it's an endurance test more than anything. It's not really supposed to be fun. It's not really supposed to be...
The fetish stuff that me and Jen went to was mainstream stuff out of the clubs. It's just going to be fashion, all right, what people are wearing, and they're going to put on some shows, but that shit's light. Okay. It's
whipping as like suspension, like suspension with the hooks in your back, that kind of
There's
stuff.
not going to be anything that really has anything to do with fucking audience participation to a real extent, really, and none of it's dangerous. The shit where real shit going on is happening at events at people's houses. That's a totally different thing. It's not in public.
Right. Yeah, Christy says, I predict that no one ever won the prize money. No, they haven't. And as I said, a lot of people think the prize money never existed. That he never had it. to give anyway.
Just another mind fuck.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
Yeah.
It's possible. So as I said, this is, McKamey has never been brought into court for anything. He's never been arrested for anything. But obviously there have been a lot of people trying to get his shit shut down because this is obviously just, legalized torture is what it is. And it's just going on in this regular ass neighborhood or whatever. So a lot of people are kind of freaking out about it. And so they have been looking into allegations. One of the ones, as I talked about earlier, that they were starting to beat on people before they'd even signed the waiver, like to get them to sign the waiver, you know what I mean? Before they'd even consented, so there was that. The fact that in Tennessee, I believe, because some states the laws are different, so I guess you just have to kind of navigate that. But I believe, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong if you know anything about the law in Tennessee, but I believe I read that in Tennessee, consent can be withdrawn at any point. So if you're in the place and you say, I want to stop it right now with my safe word, and they don't stop, then they can still be held liable no matter what you signed. So he could get into some hot water because of that. But as I said, that depends on the state. I think not everybody has that same exact law, but I believe Tennessee does. Yeah, I kind of feel like everybody should have that law. But you know what I mean? Because, yeah, you can say all this stuff ahead of time, but then when shit actually starts getting real and you're just kind of like, well, this wasn't really what I expected, or they started doing things that you didn't agree to, then obviously you have... And that was another thing that some people that went through it said, that stuff happened that they hadn't agreed to, or that wasn't in the waiver, or, that they weren't expecting, which that's a whole different thing. And they also looked into allegations that there wasn't any prize money and that it was like impossible to win it. And so people are saying, well, it's basically just legalized kidnapping and torture is what it is. But, Russ McKamey is very vocal about, his haters, as he calls them, because of course he does. And he has, or had, I don't know if they're still around, but he did have like a whole little army of acolytes who would go out and fuck with anybody that criticized him. It's a little culty. It was that kind of shit too. But he's basically, his story is that, this is all just blown out of proportion. I just did a lot of the stuff for publicity. Like, yeah, we fuck with people, but they signed a waiver, and he basically says, and this is a quote from him, "I'm a very straight-laced conservative guy, but here I run this crazy haunted house that people think is this torture factory. It's just not the case." He said, "I took away the $20,000 because it was attracting the crazy ones." I'm just like, okay, that's a likely story. But, and then he said, "You'd be surprised over the years how many people have claimed something happened to them inside." And so, as I said, he does tape everything, but from some of the videos, I don't know if they're edited. It's hard to tell. Like, he could absolutely be editing. If some really fucked up shit happened, he could just edit it out and put it up on the thing. That's a possibility. Some of the stuff that's in there looks pretty bad, to be honest with you. And
no one's leveled any charges at him, though.
Well,
Seems like,
and some of the people that came out later were kind of like, well, he basically said that if I said anything about it, that he would sue me for a huge amount of money because, like, you agreed to this, so I'm going to sue you for like $100,000 or whatever. So allegedly, people, like, he was threatening people to not say anything if fucked up shit happened in there. Some people came forward anyway, and they had all these injuries and all this other kind of stuff, but and another a thing that a lot of people said too was that they used the safe word and it didn't do anything. Like, they just kept going, even though the whole point of the safe word is to get them to stop, but they wouldn't. You know what I mean? So there was that whole thing too, because you're, the safe word, you're supposedly withdrawing your consent at that point. So anything that happens to you after that would be, you could sue for that. But for some reason, like, no one has really been able to get him on anything.
There may not be anything there, though.
And that's, we'll see.
It could be people hyping it up. So you just got to, I think if something really serious would happen, somebody would level charges at him. they'd be like, well, fuck that's suing me. Because they would go to a lawyer.
Right.
And a lawyer would laugh that shit out of fucking... No, you can't do that. And they'd start fucking building a case. I think it's... He might be telling... I think what he's saying sounds plausible. That nothing really goes on there. It's not as bad as people think. And it's all hype.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. It's like he... As I said, he's very into saying, whether he can do this or not, I don't really know. But he's very into saying that he can hypnotize people into getting them to think whatever he wants them to think. And the example he used was that I could put you in a kiddie pool and hypnotize you into thinking you're in the ocean and there's a great white shark coming to get you, and you'll absolutely believe it. I'm like, I'm not sure I buy that, but okay. But
sounds like circus stuff.
So he's saying he's very much like a ringmaster.
Like a ringmaster, yeah.
So that's why I found this whole case so interesting, and why I was watching all these lawyers talking about it and all this other kind of stuff, and probably why a lot of charges haven't been brought, because it's like it's not real clear how much of it people have been hurt in there, you know, provably. But how much of it is hype? How much of it is people that are maybe friends of his going out and saying, holy shit, like all this fucked up stuff, I got my ass kicked and all this other stuff, coming out and saying that all that stuff happened just to like drum up more publicity. It's just very ambiguous, the whole situation, because I don't know, there have been other YouTubers that went through it and they said it was pretty bad, like they got beat up and shit like that, but it wasn't like a lot of the crazy shit obviously didn't happen, because I don't think he had the money or the room to do, like I said, an underwater haunted house with alligators in it and all that, like a Bond villain. Like he didn't have all that kind of stuff because, like I said, he didn't have the space. They said most of the stuff was just pretty low key, not low key, but kind of low rent stuff, like stuff that was cheap and easy to do.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, stuffing bugs in your mouth, waterboarding you. Like a lot of people said they got waterboarded. Dunking your head under in gross ass water or in dog shit.
Yeah, that's kind of what you agreed to at that point.
You know, the shaving your head, that was a big one, and making you eat the hair.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, putting you in a box and pouring roaches and mice over you and stuff like that. Like that kind of stuff, like Fear Factor kind of shit.
Yeah.
So a lot of people said that was happening, and some of the people that worked there did seem to go a little bit overboard and kind of really enjoyed kind of punching people and slapping people and kicking them and just beating them up and stuff. So there was that.
It could have been causing serious harm to them, though.
But yeah, I mean,
just roughing them up a little bit, because if a person went in there and got seriously harmed, that person's family would find out about it because they'd be in the hospital and they go, "What the fuck happened?" I went to this thing and these people did this to me. They'd call a lawyer. Next thing you know, they start building a case. They get the police involved.
Right.
An indictment would come down. No. Just because that little waiver, they would look at that waiver and go, "Oh hell no, you were going after him." It has to be that nothing really serious happened,
or nothing that the people didn't agree to.
Nothing. Right.
Ahead of time.
It might have got hurt a little bit, but roughed up, maybe broke, like I said. But there's not even a report of a broken bone. So it couldn't have been that bad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's bad, but that's evidently that's like what they agreed to.
They've agreed to it, and it sounds like hazing, basically.
I'm not saying it's great. I don't understand why people would.
People that are into that shit, though.
Right, but I don't understand why people would do that. Like I said,
they want to go into this. This is kind of like a horror fantasy masochism and fucking a rite of passage for them. They want to be scared. They want to be roughed up. They're like masochists.
It's really interesting to me how I think...
Who else would volunteer for that?
Right.
When they were reading that shit off, they'd be like, nah, fuck this. Because why would I put myself through that?
Yeah, why would you? For absolutely no reason.
For no reason, yeah.
I mean, if it was $20 million, I might think about it. I probably still wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't believe the fucking reward anyway.
That's, yeah.
I'm fucking a grown man. I'm like, yeah, $20,000 my ass. Y'all don't know. Come on.
Yeah, Camp Guy said anybody that goes in there thinking they could win some money has poor money skills, also poor reasoning skills.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Honestly, I think most of the people went in there. They would have fun. Yeah, because they thought, they'd be badass or something.
Yeah.
Interestingly, some of the women that went through, because a lot of women went through this too, probably like half and half.
Oh yeah, women are masochists.
A lot of them said they wanted to do it because some of them had some kind of like trauma in their past, and they wanted to face their fears,
like
and they thought that this would do that,
like a rite of passage. Yeah.
So, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But I get it. But like I said, I don't think I would ever do anything like that.
Verified, you know what I mean? Fucking that women that were assaulted, afterwards, basically went after the same kind of guy that assaulted them.
It's like trying to get power over it.
Yeah, to get power over it, yeah.
Because it makes you feel powerless. You're trying to regain your agency. Yeah. I get that. But
not mentally healthy, though.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Shouldn't be selecting your mate based upon the fact that this reminds me of the dude that raped me.
Yeah, because that's
not mentally healthy.
That dude will probably kill you eventually, so... I don't. Yeah, it's not the best coping mechanism. Probably might need to see a therapist about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and honestly, if you went through some kind of trauma and you want to do this as a rite of passage, a way of confronting your fears and stuff, I kind of get that. But I think there's like better ways to do that. It's like, why don't you just go skydiving or something?
SideQuest fucking, she called it right there.
More looking for notoriety than money. Yeah, it's honestly the fact that now he claimed. Here's another thing. He claimed that there was this big long waiting list, and again, I think this was allegedly bullshit, because particularly a little bit later on, even when it was a little bit past its prime, but still kind of a big deal, people would call up. Like, because, journalists and bloggers and YouTubers and stuff that wanted to talk about it they wanted to go through it and see what it was like. So they would call up and be like, oh, well, I could be on the waiting list. But he'd always say something like, oh, well, we had somebody that was going to do it tomorrow, but they backed out. So you can come tomorrow and do it. Which multiple people said that they got in like the next day. So... waiting list of however many thousand, like 20,000 people or whatever it was, I kind of feel like maybe not, because most people that wanted to get in got in right away. Although I did see an interview with two guys who had done it, and they said they waited a year, but that might have been right when it was at its peak. You know what I'm saying? A little bit later on, most people were able to get in immediately, like as soon as they wanted to. Like, yeah, come tomorrow and do it. So I don't think there was like this big long waiting list. But again, that was kind of another part of the hype, is that this is so desirable, it's so crazy, it's so infamous that, man, we have thousands and thousands of people like waiting to do this. I mean, he's a good showman for sure. But here's the weird thing though to me, is that he does not appear to make any money from this. So I'm not entirely sure what his motivation for it is. Now, not me, some people have speculated that the motivation is simply that he gets off on watching people suffer. Because his big thing is he always wants to get footage. That's really the only thing that he cares about. He films every single person that goes through McKamey Manor, and he films them, and he's if you see interviews with him, he's very enthusiastic about, getting right up close and personal, like with all the fear in their face and, all this fucked up shit happening to him, and he loves it. So, I don't know. I kind of feel like he's getting some kind of charge out of it, because here's the thing. He has never charged any money to get in this. Pretty much every other haunt, you buy a ticket like you would any normal event. He doesn't do that. You just give a charity donation of dog food to, the Greyhound charity or whatever that he gives it to, and that's it, and you're in.
He's a true believer, man. He's having fun.
So, yeah. So some people have said that he either gets some kind of charge out of it, or, again, people were saying, oh, maybe he's selling it to, or he's taking bets like on the deep web or something like that. I don't think that's the case. Because according to everybody that knows him, he's not really tech savvy enough to do that. And especially like when they were talking about it, it was kind of before.
Back then, yeah.
It was kind of
It'd be
before
easy to do
that
now.
was. Yeah, you could do it now; it'd be easy. But back then, it was like not feasible. So, I think that all of that, because he kind of implied that was happening. We're live streaming this in Vegas and shit in
He's a hype
Thailand
man.
and stuff.
He's a hype man.
Yeah, so I kind of feel, like I said, very P.T. Barnum vibe that I get from him. But I don't know, because he did seem, at least according to his ex-partner, who was not with him anymore, she was kind of like, he's one of those motherfuckers where this woman, I don't know if they were ever married, I can't remember, but they were together a long time, and she was his partner, like, from the early days of the haunt, right? And she helped him run it. And according to her, he made some money because of his pension and everything, but she had a job and she mostly paid for everything, and she helped him, like, pay for the haunt and run it and stuff. And she said that his big thing was he he cheated on her a lot, which is, and he didn't make a huge secret about it either. She's like, he would be like Skyping with like 17 and 18-year-old girls and not making even like being secret about it. And I'm supposed to be okay with it.
Hey.
Like, stop it, Pokey.
She's turning books.
Like, she was supposed to be okay with it. And he's even asking her, it's like, can we move her in? And she, no. What, like, you know what I mean? It was that kind of shit. And he actually got into relationships with young, a lot younger than him, women, and he met several of them when they went through the haunt, when they went through McKamey Manor. And I guess like he'd pick out the hot ones or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of the
my type.
One of the women, I think her name was Holly, and then they got together and they were together for a long time. And Holly, I saw some interviews with her, and after a while, she was terrified of him.
Yeah.
She thought that he was a psychopath, and she said that he told her that he thought about shooting her on multiple occasions, and also she said that he told her that he had sexual fantasies about children.
Allegedly.
Yeah. That he was a PDF file.
Allegedly.
So, but she was like scared to death of him, she said, and she got out. She thought he was a psychopath. But I don't know.
That's what she said.
And a couple of his other girlfriends said that too. But
okay.
I'm just saying.
Sometimes people's exes can make some shit up about, dude, we don't know. We weren't there. Just gotta take it for what it is.
Blockfrog said he also never brushes his teeth. Yes.
Never brushes his teeth. Oh shit.
Thank you for bringing that up, because his ex-partner said the same thing. It's like he was very unsanitary.
Oh, okay.
Like he wouldn't brush his teeth or shower. Like he would just lay around on the couch like without showering for days at a time. And so now he had a couple kids.
Nasty.
He had a couple kids.
Yeah.
And I saw a snippet of an interview with his daughter, who's obviously grown now.
How old is he now?
I don't know.
Okay.
He's got gray hair, but he's probably in his 60s.
Okay.
I imagine.
So he's older than me.
Maybe. I could be totally wrong. I mean, you could probably look it up on Google or whatever. But his daughter said that he wasn't physically abusive. She said he was kind of emotionally abusive. That's what she said. And she thinks that she doesn't really, she's kind of low to no contact. She thinks that he is very mentally ill and that he needs help.
Could be that this is his outlet. It's his way of getting his fantasies out. That's why he doesn't need money.
Well, see, that's what a lot of people have said, because like he doesn't, other than that, he doesn't really seem to get anything out of it, which the thing about it is that he probably could.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be a good hype man about it, and it's certainly notorious. We're talking about it. There's a bunch of other documentaries, but they talked about it on Netflix. I think there was a Hulu documentary about it. It was on that Haunts documentary that was on Shudder or whatever.
Evidently, money wasn't the motive. He liked doing it.
Yeah, but
being mean.
Yeah, according to a lot of people that knew him too, and this is why like a lot of people in the haunt community, which is quite large, really do not like him, because they said, he started out back in the day, just for the love of it, doing it because he's like, oh, I like to scare people. It's Halloween. We're all like Halloween junkies and horror junkies and stuff. Like he was like that and was all about the fun. And then as time went on, the haunt just got more and more sadistic.
Yeah.
And he seemed like he was just getting off on the sadism, and it wasn't really fun anymore for anyone.
Yeah, maybe he got addicted to it.
And so like the people in the haunt community, that's where like we're not claiming him, because it's like our whole thing is we want to scare you and stuff, but we want it to be spooky, it's fun and all that kind of stuff. We don't want to like torture people. Like we're not getting off on torturing people. We just want to like scare people and make it like a simulated horror movie, but he's like doing the shit for real, and they do not like that. Which is understandable.
All right.
And most people that knew him said that he started to change, like, over the years, that he was just getting more and more sadistic, and that he was just thinking of more and more fucked up shit that he could do to people. And if you see the videos, because all of them are on YouTube, he's not hiding it, that he really seems to take great delight in fucking with people and in watching their suffering. He seems to enjoy it.
They are volunteering
a great deal.
They are
and that's kind of, like I said, that's where the sticky situation arises, because these people did sign up for this. They did.
They
apparently
knew what was
everybody that did it and then came out after said, I had to read the waiver out loud. It took like 4 hours or whatever it took, and we went through every single point, and so I knew what I was signing. So that's the thing. It's like so one of the lawyers that I was watching like had a really good example where they were talking about this waiver, whether it was legally binding, and he said largely it is, unless there's unforeseen circumstances. He's like, because there's a difference between negligence and gross negligence. There's all kind of other stuff. He's like, for example, you sign a waiver that says, hey, we're allowed to punch you in the face. It's like they punch you in the face, you can't sue them, obviously. But he's like, if you sign a waiver, and you go into like another kind of haunt, say, or even this one where they're like, hey, we can punch you in the face, but then you're in there and they're like, for example, you're standing by an open window and somebody scares you and you fall out the open window and broke, because this actually happened. Like a woman was in a haunt and there was an open window, but there was a curtain over it, so she didn't know it was open, and so she was standing by it, and a actor came down and scared her, and she jumped backward and she fell out the window, and she fell 2 stories and she broke her back.
Damn.
So, and she sued, obviously, because she had, you signed a waiver beforehand, but you didn't sign a waiver for that.
To get your back broke.
Right. Because that was like an accident, you know what I mean? Because that wasn't anything that you signed a waiver that you were expecting to happen. So it's like, if you didn't expect it to happen, then that's absolutely, then they can be held liable for that, because, that was an unforeseen circumstance you didn't sign up for, obviously, and they shouldn't have left that window open. That's how that happened. But so that was like, I thought that was a good example of pointing out, how they're like, even though the end result might be the same, because you didn't sign up for that specific thing, then you can sue because of that, because that's negligence, right? Whereas it's not negligence if you signed up and said, hey, we might hit you with a sledgehammer and break your back, and then that happens, you can't cry about it afterward because you signed a thing that says they could do that.
Seth said, man, his teeth are scarier than the haunt.
Yeah. He's he reminds me of somebody. He reminds me of somebody, and I can't put my finger on it. You know what? No, you know who he reminds me of? Gary Busey.
Okay, yeah.
A little bit.
Right.
Not quite that extreme, but along that same spectrum. Along the Busey
he's in the
spectrum.
He's in the Busey-verse.
He's in the Busey-verse. Or maybe more Jake Busey. But he kind of gives me a little bit of a Gary Busey vibe.
Yeah.
Like with he has kind of big teeth and stuff. But he seems very much like that, this type of dudes that, they're always like salesmen, or they work like in a car dealership or something, and then they always like slap your back real hard.
Yeah.
Like those, he kind of reminds me of that kind of dude. You know what I mean? You guys know the types of dude I'm talking about. Yeah, that's kind of the dude that I'm talking about. And laughs too loud, and that he just reminds me of that kind of guy. But again, I don't know the man, but a lot of people really, really do not like him, and a lot of people that have worked with him. I saw an interview with one woman who had worked with him on the haunt for a long time. And she pretty much said the same thing. She's like, it used to be real fun. Like, at the beginning, it was just kind of like, ooh, it's Halloween, it's scary and stuff. But then as time went on, she's like, hey, let's just stuff bugs in everyone's mouth and let's do that. And it was just kept getting, let's beat the shit out of this person. And it's just, it just kept getting more and more. It's like it wasn't fun anymore, and it's just like he kept going. He was like going off the deep end, and so she quit after a while. So whether or not, I'm not really sure if he has anything.
Maxing people out was his style.
Yeah, I guess.
And yeah, he's trying. Okay, that's what he's gonna do.
I guess.
I mean, they got dudes like that in every fucking industry. You give him something, he's gonna try to fucking run it even harder. They got guys in the porn world that are like that, doing producers or directors and shit. Where but they're volunteering.
Yeah.
And it's the same. These girls are gonna go work with this dude, and all he does is gangbangs. That's what they know, and they're rough. You know what I mean? They big names. Those girls will go, yeah, I'll go work with that guy. But they know it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, and as I said, yeah, there is kind of a learning curve between reading about something or thinking about something and then actually experiencing it. Obviously, those are two different things. Like, you can read this waiver all day long, and if you are not dissuaded by that, and you go in there, because here's the thing, like, these people, the people that did it, that are in the videos, they supposedly went through this whole waiver, so they knew that some of this stuff might happen to them, and it does happen to them.
Yeah.
So then they're in there, and then 5 minutes later, the shit starts happening to them, and then they start screaming and crying about it, and they want to go home.
Because the reality was different.
Yeah, which I get that.
Yeah.
Because that's two different things. And I think that there should be, like, a little bit of a little bit of something for that, because obviously, if you're just thinking about something, it's not the same as actually doing the thing. It's one thing to read about getting your mouth stuffed with cockroaches and being like, yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. And then it actually happening to you, and you're like, oh, it's much worse than I could have imagined. You know what I mean?
He's looking for that specific kind of masochist that likes that kind of shit.
And apparently there are a lot of them.
They're out there, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the people went to, like SideQuest here was saying earlier, more to prove that they could or to show they were badass.
How badass they are, yeah.
Yeah, because
they could endure it.
Yeah, because, I mean, McKamey Manor got super notorious, right around 2016, 2017, something like that. And it was on all these big shows, and so everybody heard about it. And anytime you come out and say this is the most extreme, like, shit ever, you know that there's going to be a small percentage of people that are like, well, I got to do that. I'm extreme. I can do all that. I can do it.
Yeah.
And then, like, most of them obviously can't do it.
Now, he didn't get shut down. He just stopped doing it, right?
He just stopped doing it as far as I know. I don't think he didn't technically get shut down. I think, from what I've heard, and this could be totally wrong, from what I've heard, it just got to a point where he didn't have anybody working with him anymore.
Yeah,
either because people didn't want to, or it was because he couldn't pay them, or whatever. And last I heard, I think some of the most recent videos, which are like 7 years old now, a lot of people, like, I saw some clips of them, and they look kind of sad. It looks sort of like they're in his backyard, and there's like a person, and they tied a barrel to their back, and they're making them crawl across the backyard. It's just like lame boot camp.
Yeah.
So I was watching, like, Wendigoon did a good video about this, and there's a bunch of, like, good YouTube videos about this guy. So it started to go
too low budget. It didn't have the...
Yeah, because it was just him at the end. It was just him doing it.
Come to my house, let me torture you.
Right, pretty much. And they're like, and even at that point, he was saying all this grand stuff about, like I said, the pool's full of alligators and all that other stuff, and that he had all this stuff.
He was brainwashing him.
Yeah, like, one girl's video I watched that was almost like 2 hours, and it was really good, and she was, like, ripping him a new one, honestly. Yeah. But, she's like, look, I looked at your property on Google Earth. You don't have all this shit on your property, okay? So it's like, stop it. But all this stuff that you're claiming, you don't have room for it. So it did get to a point in the end where it was just him doing it. He apparently didn't have much money. I think he eventually did have to just get a quote-unquote regular job. That's what I heard. And so it was just him doing it. And then the people that were coming, it was just kind of like I said, like a lame boot camp kind of experience. Like, hey, just... crawl through this mud or something. So it was just getting to a point where it wasn't even anything. Okay. So he didn't get shut down or anything.
Right. If he fizzled.
Yeah, it was more. Yeah. It was not with a bang but a whimper, as T.S. Eliot would say. It was kind of that kind of situation, which seems kind of sad, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. This is kind of a fucked up thing, but shit, man. I mean, if you want to do this, if you really know what you're getting in for, I don't.
Well, he should have charged money.
Well, that's one thing, and that to me seems really dumb.
That'd be rule one.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Especially when it got so famous. Like it was on fucking Dark Torso on Netflix.
Yeah.
It was on. There was like documentaries about it, and everybody was talking about it in that community, and used that.
Yeah.
I mean, he seemed savvy in other ways.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't leverage that
Yeah.
into making money, because he doesn't seem to have any now.
I would have charged money, and then I would have written out like guidelines for the company as to what was acceptable and not acceptable, what the threshold was, and make sure that everybody could be on board with that, and keep it like that. That way you wouldn't lose employees. If it got too hard, you're going to lose employees.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be too dangerous anyway. Eventually, somebody's going to get hurt. They're going to come after you. So I would have tried to keep it constrained within some kind of standards.
And that's the thing. If you're going to have an extreme attraction like this, it's not illegal, but it just seems like it's so many hoops you'd have to jump through.
Yeah.
That it really doesn't seem to be worth it unless you were making money hand over fist. I mean, if you were making fuck tons of money, yeah, it'd be worth it. You could hire lawyers to make sure all your shit was, locked down tight and everything like that. But
have it at a badass location.
Right. Yeah, you could set it all up.
Yeah.
It would be, you know what I mean? If you run it like a real business.
Yeah.
It seemed like he mostly just wanted to run it out of his backyard, and it was just kind of him doing it. He wasn't charging any money, and
which tells me it was for him.
I kind of feel that's kind of what a lot of people think about it, is
Yeah.
that he just liked it for whatever reason, and that
Using
he was
his girlfriend's money.
getting off on it somehow.
Using his girlfriend's money to get other girlfriends to join in. His fucking pansexual motherfucker.
Yeah, he was just
Building
like
his harem.
expecting everybody to like go along with his whims, I guess.
Building his harem of horror fetish girls.
I guess so, yeah. Because, as far as I know, like most of his later girlfriends, he got them from, they were much younger, and he got them from
horror
women that went through the manor,
Yeah.
or that came there and tried to go through it.
Yeah.
CB said, I just realized the tattoo on Jenny's arm is a person, not a capital H. Oh, well, this one? Oh, no. It's Anubis.
It's Anubis, yeah.
It's Anubis. I got that a long time ago. Tammy says, I Googled it, and it says he is still active as of October 2023. Well, he hasn't uploaded anything to the YouTube channel since 7 years ago.
Maybe he'll make a comeback.
Maybe so. Like I said, it's... I don't know. I don't know the man. A lot of people really don't seem to like him, and really seem... I'm not sure how crazy I am about somebody just torturing people for jollies, but...
They're consensual, though. It's consensual.
That's if they know what they're getting into and they want to do that. I mean, they're adults. I can't
providing
really...
a valuable service.
I can't really tell them not to. So, as I said, it's kind of a legal gray area for sure.
Yeah. It's like extreme sports.
Yeah, and I like that one of the lawyers made that analogy. It's look, something like, MMA or something like that. Yeah, those people get killed sometimes.
Yeah.
Boxers get killed.
Yeah,
but it's like you can't sue them because that's like a reasonable expectation from the rules of the game. And he's like, so this would kind of be along the same lines.
Wrestling.
Right. So he's saying, I'm not saying it's great. I'm just saying that with this waiver and everything, that if you consented to it, you're an adult, you're not on drugs, anything like that, you're not of diminished capacity, then probably, unless something happened that wasn't covered in the thing that you signed, then you probably don't have a legal leg to stand on.
Yeah.
So, watch what you sign, people.
Yeah.
That's the lesson there. Not that I would ever do anything like this anyway. This doesn't sound fun to me.
So that's all of it?
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Are you hungry? I'm fucking hungry.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and see what everybody says, and then we'll go ahead and shut it down.
Yeah, Xanadus said Mr. Nightmare did a video about it. Yeah, I wanted to watch that one too, but I didn't have time. I didn't even have time to watch the Dark Tourist one because my Netflix was acting up today. But I did watch like a fuck ton of... I watched Wendigoons. I can't remember her name, but I watched a bunch of like really long podcasts about it. And I don't know. It's people coming at it from different angles. Most people really seem to hate him a lot. So... I don't know. And there's a lot of interviews out there with like his ex-girlfriends, with his daughter, and other people kind of talking about maybe what his issues are.
Get trash talking.
Well, I can see what they're saying though, because he does kind of come across as maybe
having issues,
allegedly not being entirely right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know him, and you know, I wouldn't do this. Obviously, it doesn't sound like fun to me. It doesn't sound like fun, spooky time. It sounds more like, hey, let's all go to Guantanamo Bay, and no thanks. So I don't really want that done to other people, and I do not want that done to me either.
Some people think that's fun.
But if you think that's fun, I'm not judging.
Hey,
I'm just saying it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds.
Yeah.
As I said, as long as everyone's consenting, I'm not judging. For some reason, I was just reminded of that dude that ate the dude's penis, or ate the dude.
Yeah.
Consensually ate the dude in Germany.
Consensual cannibalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that seems to be, because he did go to prison, didn't he?
Yeah. Cut the dude's wang off and fried it.
And they both ate it.
And they both ate it, but they said it was too gristly. They couldn't chew it. They didn't like it.
All that trouble.
Yeah, all that trouble for nothing.
See, that just goes to show the large gap between fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
He probably dreamed for years and years.
How awesome would be.
I'm gonna get consensually a young, beautiful man to come and let me cut his dick off and eat it.
Yeah.
And then he does, and he defines that.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
It's what he's always wanted, and then they do it, and it tastes like shit.
Yeah, it didn't taste good.
We can't even eat it. It's just like.
Yeah, gristly.
It's like shitty old gum or something.
Yeah.
Or like chewing shoe leather.
Although I think he liked the rest of him after he died. Because he choked, he strangled him out.
He did, yeah.
He strangled him.
Yeah, he ate the rest of him. I'm sure the rest of the body
over
tastes.
time. He said,
why would you think a penis would taste good, for Christ's sake?
They're fucking crazy.
I mean, there's a reason that humans don't eat the penises of other animals.
Yeah.
Because they generally don't taste good.
Yeah, it's going to be just a bunch of fucking gristle.
Yeah, why would you eat that?
Yeah.
Like, I get that, but see, that's another thing.
They had sexuality.
You just need to keep that in the realm of fantasy, because that's just going to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah. I don't know if he ate any more with him, did he? Or did they just did the dick and then he killed him?
I think he just did the dick and he killed him. We did a show about that guy, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, he was like happy to go. He's like, yeah, take me out. See,
that's what's so weird. And I think like the German courts were kind of like, they're like, but he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, and he was okay with it.
He wanted.
They weren't sure. They weren't really sure what to do.
He wanted
which
to
I kind of get that.
He wanted to be killed and eaten. With some weird. That was his sexual fantasy.
Yeah.
Some weird shit, man.
Well, that's pretty much it's not a large community, but there are some fetishes.
And if I remember correctly, he said he ate him over a period of weeks. So he saved it, and he said it was good. Ate him in a bunch of different dishes and shit.
I mean, I imagine if you cook it right, some parts of human probably taste good. It's not like I'm gonna try it out, but it's just meat.
It's gonna be real fucking tough, probably.
Well, it depends on the person.
Trying to work out.
Yeah, Seth said, but he burnt the penis after all that work.
Yeah, he burnt it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it probably even if you cooked it really well, it would probably still be gross.
It'd be gross. Yeah.
But the fact that he went through all that trouble, and then he burned it, he's probably just like, oh, I'll just leave it here, and then like he just went to, I don't know,
what he
fold his clothes or something, and then he's like, oh.
He should have got him a fucking small saucepan. Put a fucking half a stick of butter in it and just fucking melt it.
Tom's cooking tips for human penises.
Put the dick in the pan. All right. Sear it real fast, and then sear it real fast first, like that, and then turn the fire way down and put a half a stick of butter in there. Let it melt. And then put the cover on it. Put it just way down low, like on the fucking pilot light. Let it sit there for about an hour. Maybe turn it once. Slow cook that bitch at very low temperature. But see, that dude would have been like, the whole time waiting for it to get done because he said he was in a lot of pain. Well, yeah, you got to get your dick.
Do you think it would be good in the Instant Pot?
It would be better because you could pressure cook it. For pressure cooking,
we're the worst. We're the worst.
Pressure cook it, it would get done faster. You might, but it would be fucking sinew. It'd be like eating ligaments and tendons and shit.
Yeah, why would you?
Not much meat in there.
I kind of feel like it would be like turkey necks, but people eat those.
No, turkey necks are nice and soft, and fucking they got bones in the middle of it. There's no bone, and it's just like a bunch of fucking sinew. It's like, you know, when you grab my dick, start pulling on that shit, like, oh, like, yeah, rotate that shit. It's like stretching. It's all fucking tendons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration. He really does like to have a pull.
Yeah, I like her to get rough with me. It's like stretching them up. It's like stretching your back or something.
Yeah, he's super
like,
into
pull
it.
You know, pull it down. Put some fucking back into it. Pulling everything, all these tendons and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just really funny.
Yeah.
But I think it's hilarious that the show about McKamey Manor has devolved into whether you should cook a human penis in an Instant Pot.
Who said that?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
And then now I'm kind of considering, I wonder what spices you'd use with that, because that's just kind of where my brain goes.
Garlic.
Well, yeah.
Cumin powder. A little bit of cinnamon. I'd go for like an Indian garam masala type fucking spice.
I like it.
You like that, yeah.
We should have put that in the cookbook.
Yeah. I'd make a cookbook and just shoot. No, man, they'd come after me. The fucking feds.
You know what?
Somebody
I can guarantee you.
Some cannibal would eat that.
I would guarantee. I would bet you a substantial amount of money that somebody has already made that.
Yeah.
If you go, and I bet you that it's available on Amazon right now.
It's ridiculous.
Any fucked up thing you can think of, somebody has already done that someplace. Yeah. Seth says, imagine being in pain, bleeding out, and then smell it burning. How disappointing.
Yeah.
I know. Can you be just like, he's just there like this, and he's just like, you motherfucker. Yeah. This was going to be this whole big thing, and you fucked it up.
Yeah, Seth fucking pointed it out, though. Seth pointed that shit out, and he burnt the penis.
Yeah. Right.
Fucking burn it. God,
I can't.
Why didn't you study some fucking, get some damn culinary expertise before you try this?
You think if it was that big of a...
This was their life fucking...
right.
Goal.
Like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Like I said, he'd been thinking about this and fantasizing about this forever. You'd think that he would have recipes at the ready.
Yeah.
And that he would know exactly what he was going to do when this ever happened.
Yeah.
Apparently that was not the case.
We said he cut it off and the dude bled a lot. He was in a lot of pain, so he was in a hurry. Sure.
That's another thing that you should have predicted.
Should have known about that. Yeah.
Pro tip: when you cut a piece off of somebody, it's gonna bleed quite a lot.
Yeah, especially the dick. There's a lot of blood.
I mean, duh.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Even I know that, and I've never killed anybody
Yeah.
that I know of. So yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, so all right.
Let's go ahead and shut it down.
It's a good thing I don't believe in hell, because
let's go watch another episode of Shogun.
Oh, we've been watching Shogun.
Shogun's good. It's real good.
It's really good. Yeah, I'm really into it.
I'm on episode 5.
Yeah, we're on episode 5. How many are there? 8?
10.
Oh, 10. Okay. Yeah.
For this season, I don't know if there's several seasons. Maybe there's.
I thought that we were still on this. I thought that the first season had just come out last year.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if there's 2 seasons or not.
Oh, okay. Shit. All right.
There may only be 1 season. I don't know.
All right. So we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. This was, like I said, this was kind of a fun one to do because it was all kind of rabbit holes to go down. And I listened to so many podcasts about this shit, like while I was doing other shit today. It was just, yeah, it's crazy. And like I said, I would never fucking do this ever. If you would, I'm not judging, but I would never do it. So yeah, thanks everybody for dropping by. Thank you for your super chats this evening. And we will be back again on Friday night for the Sidetrack show, which if you're new here, obviously that's just us drinking and talking about whatever bullshit crosses our minds. I will probably put up a book review tomorrow at some point. So, because I read like a psychological horror that was pretty good. So I did a review of that. So I'm going to put that up tomorrow too. So, you know, if you want to see me before Friday, you can see that recorded. So again, thanks everybody for dropping by. Have a good rest of your evening. And we'll see you guys again on Friday night. Good night.